thank you for everyone to attend today's webinar. Today's webinar topic is fantastic, right? We talk about metaverse fashion with the Web3 and also like sustainability and NFT and everything, right? So it's fascinating, and then we have a great speakers join today. So I also have a very have expectation of learn from these like great speakers in all of the place. We are global speakers from India, in Middle East, and then also like UK, United States, and European country like Germany or some of the like France, and so we are global, so we can have opportunity to learn and hear from the global leaders in metaverse fashion, and then also like especially the digitalization of the fashion and Web3 and NFT and sustainability and everything. Okay, so I will start from introduction of today's webinar for introduce each speaker and their schedule. But as I posted in the chat, we have a detailed schedule there, so you can see that. And then also, I will share my screen, and all speakers can share screen yours in your turn. Okay, so, okay. Okay, so I can hopefully you can see that. Okay. Okay, so first, I'd like to show you what the schedule of today's like. So we have 8 distinguished guest speakers from all of the globe. And then I already posted in my LinkedIn side of a detail about their topic and their like a profile, more detailed than this. So if you want to know about them, you can look at it in my LinkedIn site, or I gave you in the chat also about all their LinkedIn profile links, so you can contact them individually. Okay, so we have a heavy schedule today, so I'm going to start very in an efficient way, and then modulate for each speaker's talk, because if somebody late like 1 minute and then delay, so it's I want to keep your time slot. Okay, so first I will start like overview of the metaverse fashion and like Web3 and sustainability and NFT and everything. And then after that, actually the Aditya Mani start. He's a veteran in metaverse fashion and any other aspect of the metaverse. And so I don't have time to like introduce detail about each individual speakers and topic. So I already shared this one. So I want you to look at it. And then each speaker can have some time at the starting your talk that please give you like some detail about your maybe the brief, but the snapshot of the what you like experience, what topic, what it looks like, and then you can expect some Q&A during the like maybe at the end of your session, and also mostly like through the chat. Okay, so without any delay, I will start my session. So I want to give you the like a metaverse fashion overview. So actually, I shared this slide in my LinkedIn profile post. And also, I already sent through the email if I have an email. So usually the like LinkedIn first connection, I have an email. So I provide this one through the email. But if you don't have any like receive this kind of email, then I want you visit my profile site, and then I posted this slide. Okay, so because we have a very like a time limitation, I'm going to quickly over. So hopefully you look at this material so for the detail. But I give you the like metaverse fashion, what is challenge and opportunity. Okay, so I will give you like a just essential part. It is, what is it? Is a fashion industry is around 1.5 trillion dollar industry market, right? So shoes. It's because it's related to our human life. And then is the issue was a counterfeiting. You know, a fake product like you know about it. And then we have like it's among the most of the 50 billion is actually the counterfeit product, but the most counterfeit product is in fashion. So it's a serious problem. And then because of COVID-19, that like a digital transformation is accelerating. So it's a trend. And also like we have like a creator economy is coming, is a $100 billion market. And then NFT is this important lore in here. And then we already experienced a wearable NFT. So wearable to your avatar in the metaverse is NFT format. And we know about a lot of the monetization like play on and other ways. And also fashion industry include the metaverse fashion is like some digitalization and fashion house brand and then the like a Phygital wear, metaverse fashion show or something like marketplace where these all ecosystem players. And I'm going to detail in next slide. And then sustainability is an issue, like inherently that fashion industry is anti-sustainability and anti-circularity, so is against the circular economy. So we know about it. So we are looking at what may be two way to resolve these issues. And then fashion digitalization is like a metaverse fashion. We look at some new community based on Web3. We call DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, is here. And then we are expecting new generation of the like consumers. They have a buying power now. It's going to be buying power in the future. Is a Generation G and Generation Alpha. They are hugely insisted about the metaverse and metaverse games and metaverse fashion. So they will be our future like consumers. So we should look at it. Okay, so metaverse fashion ecosystem. So I just summarize all aspects as far as for under my understanding. So, but basically, I'm not from the fashion industry. I'm mostly in high tech industry. So you can think about like but I have a very expertise in business strategy, business model development. So I look at it. What is the current like value chain. So you may know better than me for this one, like a design, graphic and fabric sourcing and custom production and fashion show and for the mass production metaverse fabric sourcing, mass production and like a retail selling or channels, something like that. So in here is a traditional physical fashion value chain, and then you will see that this is like a new trend in the metaverse and digital fashion space. So here is like a fashion design digitalization solution players. So like a Browseware and like a Crow is one of the like famous 3D tools, and Metaverse Fashion House, Fabricon is one of the famous, and the Metaverse Fashion Marketplace, DressX, something like that. And Web3 like a fashion protocol, like a Digitalising is one of the important, and then like Digitalized, and also like a fashion show, like a New York or other like a fashion digital metaverse fashion show, and there was a solution provider and then technical like a business provider like Altava and Audrey, and then like a fashion brand. Or now is Oro, but mostly pioneered by the like Balenciaga and Gucci, Burberry, Ralph Lauren, and many other is joined here. Okay, so for the focused on today's webinar topic, so sustainable metaverse fashion ecosystem, how to develop it. So I will look at what is the issues and requirement here. So it's a monetization issue. So the issue is that especially the NFTs for the starting specific like a mania community, not general consumers. And then we didn't explore the fully about what the monetization like opportunity we can have it. And then we also need to look at what other aspect of NFT can be used in the monetization, like a utility NFT or something like that. So this topic will be my next webinar. So I will invite you for the next webinar about this kind of all kind of NFTs how can they use for the monetization in my next webinar. And then quality issue. Yeah, is a serious. I saw that there are a lot of the trial and there are a lot of the like work already going on. And then I have seen a lot of the like wearable fashion NFTs, but still, you know, that the technology is not there. And then the quality, like they cannot give you actual, like we think of metaverse, immersive, like a reality-like experience, not yet. So it's look and feel is a problem. So we know about the limitation and how we can do it at best now and then maybe in the future. And then the most important thing is that the fashion industry still is physical. So we need to include this metaverse and digital fashion as a part of the like a physical fashion. So then we need to think of how we can actually integrate the legacy Web2 into the digital Web3 fashion business integration. We need to think about it. And sustainability issue that there are a lot of I already did several webinars about this topic, how the metaverse and digital can be resolved some sustainability issues, but they cannot fully resolve the inherent sustainability circularity issues. So this is another topic that I'm going to have on my next webinar about these specific topics, but still we are not there. And then we need some ecosystem players integration. So I know that there are many activities going on, like a DAO type community build up. Okay, so I would like to give you some of the project I recently joined and that I'm working on is a South Korean startup, metaverse fashion startup. Actually, happily I joined this as based on my like expertise experience, especially in digital and business strategy and sustainability. So I having them to like developing business in as a chief evangelist for their work. So I will show you that I already like examined what the opportunity, what the challenge, and what the issues. So I try to resolve this kind of thing through this startup. So here is one, you can see, look at it. They already collaborate a lot of the South Korean born designers to produce a lot of the metaverse fashion. So you can look at it in this side. Okay, so actually I just give you the like a snapshot of what the challenge and the issues and what should be resolved further. So I cannot solve everything, but I did my best with this startup has a lot of the very excellent people, and they have a very good track record from the like a business fashion, with special fashion design and fashion production, and also like a technology and the Web3 and then like tokenization. So I work with them to developing what is the best way to resolve the kind of issues in current metaverse fashion and also like a link to the like a traditional fashion industry. So I gave the like their company is Fame Universe, and then I gave them like a Fame's way. Let's develop, and then share with other like expert and in the fashion industry, especially the metaverse fashion industry, and then let's collaborate. So that's my lore. So I work for this one. I work hard based on my 30 years experience in digital and business strategy and collaborate with this expertise in this new startup. And then what we actually did was like we are the platform builder. So hyper connecting. So hyper connecting means that not just the digital. We are not fully digital. From physical to digital and digital to physical. So some of the topic is like a Phygital and digital twin is one of our speakers will talk about. So we can learn about this in later. And also like we want to be like a certain metaverse fashion ecosystem leader. So we want to contribute. It's a metaverse fashion ecosystem in a sustainable way. And then so Fame platform is we are developing. The platforms actually this is a playground to co-create this sustainable metaverse fashion ecosystem. So we provide like the stakeholders, players in the metaverse fashion players to cooperate synergetically and a way to efficiently and effective way. And then, so one or two, supporting the sustainable fashion ecosystem development. This is our mission and goal. So for especially for the like a frame platform design, okay, the key point was the simple way to embracing the digital Web3 fashion business for the legacy Web2 fashion business. So we know about there are a lot of the legacy and Web2 fashion business practice want to migrate or to include this like a new opportunity, digital Web3 fashion. So we want to provide the simple way to that. And then also like want to be like a community building in the self-sovereignty and consensus. And the way we want to design the like innovative monetization method that I mentioned before. And then we want to be like know about the current technology limitation and the future technology expectation want to be modular, so we can rephrase in the future as technology like evolve and levelize. We want to be like including the more advanced one in easily the modular time. And then we want to resolve the fashion inherent sustainability circularity issues some way that we can do that. So the four key elements is like a building sustainable fashion creator economy. So we call Meta Studio. So digitalization and then interface to like legacy designers and then digital designers and then Metaverse like designers to convert their like a fashion design from the scratch to the like a digital and also like put into like a Metaverse. So we want to provide, and then we also like provide the tools for the like IT portfolio generation through the NFT. This is one key. And the other is the self-sovereign funding. So this community will be funded by in the community. So provide the designers that actually mostly like not well established designers have an opportunity to design and actually to make the digital also like a physical product through this funding process. And then also like a launch pad for the like all kind of like a product as an NFT. We call Fame Fashion Launchpad, and the hyper-connect fashion marketplace. So this is, as I mentioned, like not just for the like digital or the Metaverse fashion marketplace, also be linked to the physical in the real space, like a fashion marketplace. So wanna be hybrid the two space. And then we want to like develop the innovative Metaverse fashion monetization, many known or the unknowns. We wanna develop this one. So I will start my presentation. So I have prepared like they already collaborate a lot of the fashion designers in South Korea, also like including some global like for in other country, and also like we have a very excellent step here. And then also if you want, you can see the deep dive. So here is a very detailed exploration about how we go about. Okay, so I will start my sharing. Okay, so as I mentioned that we have a speaker, so we are going to let me. So now is 12:27. So actually, because of the something problem. So but hopefully that we can catch up. Maybe. Because we have a 15 minutes in time slot for optional discussion, so we can make up now. Okay, so without any delay, we want to start from first speaker, Aditya. He's in India, so he is late evening. So thank you for attending this late evening. So would you please start?
Yeah.
And you can share your slide. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex, for having me here. Always a pleasure to be on your forums. My name is Aditya Mani, everyone. I'm the founder of a startup called Yologram, and it's an app. It's a styling app, and what we're really aiming to do is move a lot of the consumers who are just passive consumers of fashion into stylists. And the idea is that if you've got a good eye and you have a good eye on mixing and matching. Would you want your combinations to get famous, and would you want to earn off it? That's something that we're looking to unlock really. So we're looking at unlocking the stylist in everyone. And I'm going to be talking about three concepts within the app. So it's about playable styling, immersive storytelling, and how Web3 ties everything together. And for that, it's also kind of bringing in circular economics. So, what we're trying to do is get styling to storytelling and storytelling back to styling. And we think we can do that with NFTs. So, we know the problem today is basically e-commerce was built for the catalogs. It was built for magazines. Sorry, regular fashion photography was built for magazines, and it was built for catalogs. And we've just lifted that technology of regular 2D photography and we brought it to e-commerce. And, so this beautiful model you see, you cannot do anything with the way this blue shirt and this green skirt looks on her. You can't change the pose. So even though it's an action pose, it's a very static image. It's very impersonal. You're not able to visualize it on yourself. And typically today, most brands only care about sales, loyalty, and new revenue because they're an offshoot of the Industrial Revolution. They haven't really evolved the way our consumer today has evolved, who, especially if you look at Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're looking at experientially engaging with the brand. So, they find a more intuitive engagement in Netflix versus regular TV. They find more intuitive kind of way of consuming content on, Apple Music versus the CD, but they still feel that e-commerce is locked in the same old way. And they're looking for a new interface, and they're looking for a more playable interface, and they feel that's missing today. Also, the concept of ownership is very fluid online. There's not too many ways you can express a sense of ownership online. And, they're really looking to create valuable content and become brand advocates. So, we think the Metaverse and our app can really solve some of that, because what we can do is we can give you a concept of playable styling that lets you style on yourself with branded apparel. So it's not really fantasy apparel you're looking at. You're looking at a real life digital twins of things you can buy and you can wear in real life, as well as wear it in the Metaverse. The whole concept of digital ownership lets you wear this. So, you could technically come onto a Zoom call like this, wear your digital clothing, and there could be a possibility where if you're an influencer, you can clock your minutes and a brand can compensate you. We're also thinking of interesting ways in which you can earn off something called styling cards. So you can style on yourself and then share a card. And then when someone picks up that, you get to earn with that. And, we always say it's for purpose and play. So, one fun element is about sharing in AR and sharing in 3D. And that really creates such immersive, interesting storytelling that it tells a good story about you, but it also tells a good story about the branded clothing that you're wearing. So the brand gets free visibility. So, what we have typically is 3D commerce on the left side, and you can bring the jacket in your home, you can spin it around. You can see all the textures of felt wool in close quarters because, the power of 3D lets you do, physics-based rendering. It lets you take, enhance the lighting in it. So you can actually see every texture and every little, every little strand of wool that you can't see with regular photography. That's the highlight that 3D does. But we want to take it a step further and bring you to the concept of playable styling and playable commerce, which is really about mixing and matching. So, even though you do have the 3D jacket on the left, you can't do much with it. But when you have the concept of mixing and matching, like, for example, on the right side, you have the red, the red and blue jacket on the left with the gray pants, and then you swap it out, you have the green and brown jacket with the gray pants. So this concept of mixing and matching styling really unlocks the stylist in you, because often what you get paired when given to you in e-commerce doesn't have that eye. It has the eye of the person who's curated it, the merchandiser, but you just want to do that little change to it, but it's locked. So we really unlock that and give you the power to mix and match. So what we have is typical 3D commerce. On the left side is Jack, who's wearing his gray t-shirt and black pants, and you can see him from all 360. So you can spin him around, and it's a typical fitting room kind of scene. So you can see a little bit of the fitting room, and you can see yourself. You can go real close if you want. And on the right side we have Joe, who's wearing a red vest. He wants to know what the green jacket will look like, on top of the red black pants. And suddenly when he puts on the green jacket, the black pants takes on a whole different look and color. It's that whole fun of, mixing and matching in real time, seeing it on yourself, seeing it on your skin tone. And, I haven't zoomed in on this video, but you can zoom in real close and see what it looks like. We've even done simulations like, we've shown the gray shirt kind of tearing on the stomach area. Depends if the brand really wants to show this or not, if we want to focus on fit. And I've talked about the Barcelona t-shirt, and what that's the point of that is, even though it's tough for you to, customize clothing in the physical world, unless you're willing to pay a lot. In the digital world, it doesn't cost that much. So if it costs $1 to buy digital clothing, you can probably have it customized for $2, because end of the day, it's only pixels, right? So what we're trying to do is, with the concept of playable styling and playable commerce, we're really trying to bring a gamified experience to the Gen Z consumer. We're also unlocking the concept of aspirational commerce. So, in case you feel you're right on the cusp right there, you can't afford the Gucci jacket or the LV jacket, maybe if you buy the digital gear, you may be incentivized to buy the physical one. Maybe you may get more loyal versus other brands which are not available. So, we're kind of, bringing you there, and the whole concept is style on me and share. So, these two people right here are in different parts of the planet, but they've shared their, digital versions of themselves inside the home, and they can see each other in real time, even though they're in different places. This is particularly powerful, especially when you're talking about two girls who want to dress up to a party together. Think about a prom night where, you're in your dorm room, you're in different settings, but you'd like to share how you look, or you're dressing up for a party. Say you're a boy and a girl are pairing each other up for a party, but they're in their respective homes, or a bridesmaid and brides, they want to pair each other. We can even immerse this in a church-like setting. So the possibilities are endless. So not only are we giving you mixing and matching, we're giving you the ability to customize a lot of the digital gear. So that kind of, again, unlocks the stylist in you. And then also, we're also giving you the power to, share in real time with an associate or a friend. Either you just want to show someone, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing before I hit buy, or you just want to see, how the whole pairing works. So we think it's going to unlock a lot of, new opportunities that could exist with e-commerce, but they were just not there. So what we are thinking of immersive storytelling is not just about bringing the garment or bringing the 3D on your phone or getting it in your space and rotating it. We're also talking about pushing you into the app as well. So, if you look at this selfie of this girl, I mean, she'd be taking a selfie of herself, and an avatar of her would get created inside the app. So we've shown the experience from 2D to avatar. So first we have the 2D clothing, then we have the 3D clothing, and then the 3D clothing gets applied on the avatar, and the whole concept of mix and match. So you have the green jacket on top and the blue jacket at the bottom. So that's really the power of what we're trying to unveil. And the whole concept of immersive storytelling gets very powerful when we give you the option to immerse yourself in multiple virtual worlds that we call today metaverses. So we have some canned virtual world experiences within the app. We also have a 360 pipeline, and that's a 360 pipeline that lets you, the consumer, push content. So you could have gone to a vacation and you could have shot a panoramic 360 photo that we can wrap around and show you in 360. Or it could be a branded experience. So, think of a brand that's trying to send their flagship retail experience. How would you like to experience that, especially during these lockdowns? The brand can actually push that experience into the app, and we enable that as well. And of course, we have the concept of AR, where you can style yourself, and I put the avatar on my laptop. You can put yourself in a Starbucks coffee cup. You can make yourself mega size. So that's really the power of storytelling. And we also let you do the different kinds of lighting, because it's all physics-based lighting, so we can simulate the outdoor natural light. We can do outdoor with lighting, so you can have street lighting on. You can even have yourself in an indoor scene. And all these are doing with generating these cards, which are style cards that we call them, which could either be videos, or they could be images, which are typically what you have stories in social media. And these stories are showing up as style cards on the app. And it just doesn't end there. After the storytelling happens, you can actually click on any of the style cards and apply that clothing onto yourself. And I'll tell you why that's important. So, what we're really thinking of doing is, moving it beyond just what is physically possible. So you can actually immerse yourself in underwater and outer space. And, we also feel that the whole point is that, even though you may think this is an avatar, I don't feel anything, but if you look at stories like Toy Story and you look at Up, you really felt those emotions, even though it was a cartoon. So, we shouldn't be biased in thinking that if it's an avatar, and we send it to someone and we send it with a voice greeting, we won't be able to evoke that emotion. There will be a certain kind of recognition and kind of likeness that people will tend to associate people with their avatars. So, what we're doing in our in-game gold or in-game economy is we're giving consumers way to spend gold. So we're going to give them, free gold, or we're going to give them some kind of gold when they're onboarded. These are like, little tokens that you get on in an app when you sign on or in a game. And, every time the consumer saves digital clothing to an avatar, mints what we call a lookbook or a style card, and saves their avatar as a portable NFT that they can bring into a virtual world, they're spending our tokens, they're spending this. But it's also important to know, how can the consumer earn? So, we know that the 3D designer can earn off, once you have digital economics, you have the digital clothing. We know that the 3D designer could earn and the brand could earn, but how could the consumer earn as well? And, the minute you pick up the style card, someone's done a good pairing of a nice blue t-shirt with, black pants. I just want to pick that up. The minute I click on that, the power of NFT and the royalty, the secondary market royalty gets transferred not just to the brand, but the person who sat and made that card. And it's that person's creativity that's gone into creating the immersive environment in the back, or the AR, or the mixing and matching, or the kind of animation, which has made that attractive for me to pick it up. And so that person gets compensated as well. So we're just not giving you a typical app, it's also kind of pushing the consumer into the creator economy and allowing them to earn as well. And of course, you can wear your clothing on a Zoom call, and, depending on what kind of influence you have, you can, we can work out something with the brands where, depending on the number of minutes you clock, we can have it on our app. And, the brand can actually, pay you by the cent or by the dollar by a certain number of minutes. And of course, we also have the concept of, this styled avatar is earning app. So this is what your lookbook looks like. So basically, the styled stories are saved as NFTs. The consumer can, adopt this style, and the minute they pick it up, they get, they pay for it. But the person who made the card, they get paid a certain sum of money for a certain sum in tokens, depending on what kind of royalties are set in. And of course, we give you the option to customize the digital version as well. So before saving it, you could have picked up a blue shirt, but you could make it a lighter blue or a darker blue. So even though that's the digital version that you're changing, the digital version was done by you, so you get a higher degree of the royalty compared to what you would get if you didn't change that t-shirt. So because every input that you're putting in, you're getting compensated for that. And the last is, of course, this is what we're doing. We're inverting it back. So it was earlier styling to storytelling. Now we're bringing it back from storytelling to styling. So what we have on the left are typically the stories that we have here. We're circling through them. Any one of them get picked up, it goes to the right, the clothing gets picked up, and it goes onto your avatar. So, we're spinning the whole thing around. So we kind of have circular economics present within our app as well. And I won't spend too much time on this. We all know about ERC 725 being the standard. So the avatar as such can be saved as a digital avatar that can be taken into virtual worlds for the metaverse. And this is also something that's meaningful to consumers, because they'd like to bring in their avatars into virtual worlds with brands that they love and brands that they really care about, as well as it being, phygital twins of the clothing that they own in their wardrobe. So that's it. I want to stop right here. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, fantastic. Yeah, I like to see your innovate ideas. I think that I need to invite you again for the next webinar, because I'm looking for a little innovative way to like how actually that I mentioned about it. Oh, good. Right. Doing a good thing like the sustainability and new revenue generation, but still is something really only interesting in the focused group. Like, but we want to be more general public, like general consumers, and then we need to be more innovative, right? Because the NFT is they have no any limitation, because NFT is a representation of everything you have a value, right? So in the earth, there is everything has value, right? So you can have an NFT for everything, right? And then the matter is how you can be innovative. You're like a creativity, right? You mentioned about creative economy, right? So and then also like how we provide like experience. And then one of the most fantastic experience in like make money, right? So monetization is an important factor to provide like a metaverse, especially with the like the metaverse fashion experience and the monetization. So I thank you. So because I think that you think over these issues and then you work hard and then like try to resolve and then try to get the new innovative ways. I really like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
So if anyone have question to him, then you can continue on Q&A in the chat. Okay, so thank you, Aisha. Finally, you. I like your background, right? So, Aisha, you are mute. Okay, so I explain you that to other speakers that we have a 15-minute session including Q&A, but I didn't have enough time to introduce for each speaker. So why don't you start with the start? You introduce yourself, and then start sharing your like a screen and then your presentation. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex, for this webinar. And I think so far with Aditya, now Aditya and me, we just see each other everywhere. So that's great to see you, Aditya, here. Your talk was great. And it's great to see that this webinar is focusing on fashion side, the Web3. I think we have a great audience here. So I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. So I'm a fusion tech artist, working currently as a creative director with Meta Visionaries. I'm also the CEO of Oshi Brownie, which is the digital fashion brand. And we're working on a bunch of exciting projects that I'll go over today, and to also talk about the digital identity through those projects, right? Because one thing I think it's that is relevant for everyone who is here, especially in the fashion world, is that the idea of identity. And I think we're all through interesting projects like what Aditya said, I think we're all trying to navigate what identity means today and tomorrow. And today, this is the topic that I want to really address and delve into through different techniques, through frontier technologies, through fusion art, and now with some interesting tools that we're having today with like Mid-Journey, a lot of different things that we're seeing around. It's popping everywhere, especially on LinkedIn. So I mean, these are the trends that we're having. So all of these things just make us question what the digital identity is. I'll share my screen and I'll take it from there. Exactly. Yeah. So I'll start off by introducing Oshi Brownie, which is a Phygital brand. We've been doing a lot of physical work when it comes to the craft of the things. We've been working with a lot of films, styling for music videos, like doing the costumes in our studio, using lighter technology, using a lot of 3D software, 3D modeling softwares, and so on, right? So I have an experience that is coming from the real actual craft of the things, the customization of things, and conceptual development when it comes to the wearable art design. So what you're seeing here is actually some of the performative custom-made costumes that I've done recently for a lot of commercial projects. And then I'll go right into the digital identity and self-expression. I think these are the two things which, again, it's going to make more and more sense as we go along. This is the mission when it comes to the future generation and the change makers that we're trying to address. So the things like the frontier technologies that I want to refer to is 3D printing. It's definitely the frontier tech when it comes to the software. It's definitely artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay, so these are some of the things, and I'll quickly scroll through some of the works that we've done. These are some of the performative pieces, some process of the art making itself. I'll just go through them and then go over what identity means and how the semiotics, how the simulation, fabrication, all these techniques we can use. Anyone who is interested in the design thinking, anyone who's interested in taking up digital fashion as a career, because again, it's a $1 trillion industry, right? So there's a lot of careers in the future, obviously, on that side. So it's definitely good to know your area where you can specialize. I mean, it's a creative field, so it's always good to know the tools that are upcoming there. Okay. Some of the works that I've done, starting from the illustration, and some of the works that I've done from the side of the fusion art. This is a project that I did with Dr. Tara Rutley, and I actually like talking about this project because although this is not directly related to the fashion, but you see how the visualizations are working here, because this was done by utilizing the artificial intelligence with with the concept art created through pixel synth, and then the final works was used on the different renderings of the dresses. So I think this is a great example because the technology is in there. This was actually talking about JWST launch, and then this idea that you're seeing the rendering of the concept art is now being translated into the metaverse that Oshi Brown is actually working on, right? So this was like something that started off as a concept, but now it's being translated into a metaverse, because this metaverse is going to be about the storytelling itself. It's going to be about science fiction. It's going to be about conceptual art. And I think when we're talking about, again, the digital identity, the relevance of cultures, the relevance of storytelling, I think it's so important. It's so important to have the context right. And then once you have the concept and context, then you can build anything on top of it. Whether it's a dress, whether it's a metaverse, whether those are NFTs, I think you can go through that. Another project which was actually done with support of Oshi Brownie and with support of British Council and Goethe, we did this project where emotion mapping was used. So this is an interesting technique when we talk about fusion of technologies when it comes to the digital identity creation. Because these robots that you see, I actually use the bots to showcase some of my designs, right? And how did I do that? I actually documented the real-time designs in my studio, and I took them in through the LiDAR technology in 3D softwares, and then I rendered on top of them. But these designs themselves, when I talk about the research, they were coming through the research of the Plochik, who is again a scientist who studied the emotion mapping for the first time. So he gave these emotions, these colors, and through these colors, he talked about what these energies and colors look like. I think this is quite an interesting perspective, although like today that has a different meaning, because when we add a happy hashtag or sad hashtag on Instagram, we get different results. So we see like even today people express themselves using social media, using their images, but that expression has changed because today they do it through avatars, they do it through PFPs, they do it through a digital twin, okay? And these are just some of the examples. And virtual influences are becoming more and more common. That's why this project, which I did 2 years back, actually, this was about that. And each one of the robots that you see, what they're wearing was done through recycling of the actual material that I found in the kitchen, that I found in my house, that I found on the road. And then I turned them into pieces of art for each of the design. Like this was the happy board, this was the trust board, this was shock board. And what was happening was that these were the artworks, and then people could see themselves through Zoom. And based on their reaction, based on their mood, the AI could tell it that whether they are 50% sad today or 20% happy, right? And that's so interesting because suddenly the AI is being integrated in the Zoom camera, and that was integrated with the art that I did. So in a way, you're linking the emotion mapping, you're linking the AI with the art, and that's what Oshi Brown is about, right? It's about digital art, but like we're just taking it to that level where other technologies of today, like other technologies like emotion mapping, data collection, and AI ML can be integrated with this research. Because with the AR, with the VR apps that we have today, like no one is talking about the facial recognition. Like if your face is being recognized, what is it saying? And whether we can use it with the fashion, because fashion is all about self-expression. So if we use that algorithm in a certain way, if we run it in a certain way, that is helping us in some way to make those decisions when it comes to fashion. Because when we like to wear a certain color, that says something about us, right? So it's again about the colors, it's about the energies, what we're trying to express. So I think this research, which again is something that we're integrating with Oshi Brownie, is I think very relevant today, because I think we're all moving towards a time where AI, ML, Phygital art is becoming more and more real, right? So that's why I think this project Pluchik is something that I always refer back to, and it's so relevant today. Another thing that I would like to highlight is that when we're talking about the metaverse and fashion, so we have to think about different identities and different cultures that we want to represent. Some of the initial renderings that I did for the metaverse that we wanted to do, I was thinking about the culture's representation. Like here, I was looking at the truck art of Pakistan, and here I was looking at the culture of Turkey, right? But in a scenario where the space is the actual environment, right? So thinking about an alternate reality, I would say, because that's what the metaverse is about, and then integrating some fashion pieces, some wearable art that is inspired by these cultures, right? And you can see like this was done for some kind of campaign for India, this too, and then there are other identities, like this was done for third culture, and again you can see the third culture being integrated with the humanoids and these robotic forms, these almost cyborg like forms that I was getting inspired by. Again, these are some other renderings that shows that how the material from around you can be taken in through the LiDAR and the Phygital kind of like 3D manipulations and simulations into the softwares, and then can be converted into forms of art that can be again 3D printed. So what I'm talking about here is taking the physical world into the digital and then digital back to the physical, right? So it's a two-way process, and it's such an interesting cycle because firstly, there was a wave of digital art. And then with the digital art, everyone started talking about the Phygital. So we started seeing people doing like with artifact and stuff. People started doing AR related, VR related stuff. But no one is actually thinking about how can we utilize this two-way process to do something even more unique, right? Because fashion is all about uniqueness. Fashion is all about self-expression. And this is exactly what I did. I used some utensils in my kitchen, literally. This is what I did for these images. And then I did the 3D scanning. I took them in, created these masks, and suddenly when these women actually wore it, the Snapchat filter could not recognize their face. And this was the idea, that the rebellion was the idea, right? That AI is scrutinizing you, but it cannot scrutinize you anymore because of these armor-like forms, these masks. Again, this was done during the COVID, so that's also interesting because COVID was all about the masks and us using that as a medical equal, like everyone was using it. But at the same time, masks stand as a something to hide or to change your identity. I think that's the connotation. So I think, yeah, that's something very conceptual, but that was the baseline idea why I did it. And then obviously I did it in a way that it should look aesthetically pleasing. I mean, that's the kind of custom designs that I've been doing for people. And there is an NFT drop that we're actually doing with Oshi Brownie. With some of the people that we're bringing on board, we will be doing such custom pieces of works of art with women especially. So that's something that's on our radar that we're doing with our team. Moving forward, I would actually go to some of the process work to show you. Yeah, these are also some of the renderings of the Arab world that we did using AI. So the designs that you see were all again done through the 3D scanning, and then the backgrounds and the artwork itself was generated through AI. So again, the fashion comes in contact with technology, it comes in contact with 3D printing, and then it also comes in contact with emotion mapping, right? So these are like, it's a very complex kind of interdisciplinary link, but I think that's where the interesting process and interesting results start to happen. Some of the initial sketches that I did, like this is how the process work looks like when I'm like ideating a project, when we're thinking about the designs, when we're kind of photographing them in the studio. These are the design, like this is how the material looks like when I'm photographing it, right? And then the final outcomes can look something like this in the right lighting. Some of the things are again taken from the physical world, some of them are created in the 3D like digital world. So these are the designs, and then obviously we're dropping some like really high detailed designs as well, which is again going to be physically available as well. So there's a project coming up with Oshi Brownie that we're doing. And in fact, this is something where we're expanding our company. So we're looking for people who can come on board for this thing especially. And we're also looking for some investors, we're looking for ambassadors. So again, with the digital fashion, this is something that, we're kind of expanding in this area. And let me actually show you what that looks like. Yeah, so we're working on the animation of the characters. Like, so it's all about the self-expression. It's all about, how much you can express the story that you tell with your face while you're wearing the fashion items, right? So we're trying different ways to animate the avatars while they're wearing the dresses and creating NFTs out of it, right? So this is our website. These are some of the key features of the avatars and the designs itself. So again, the creative direction, what I'm doing, it's all done through AI ML integration. And that's where the avatars are unique, because one, it's about the inclusivity, it's about different identities coming together. It's not just about, one person. In fact, the name Oshi Brownie originated through the understanding that, the strength of the brown, like, if that makes sense. And then it means that we need to be more inclusive. We need to represent people who are not being represented. That's the entire idea of it. And these are some of the designs. You can see Middle Eastern representation, you can see Western representation, like some of the designs that we want to do with some designers. Again, like I said, these are the things which are happening. This is the drop that is coming soon, so we're minting it. And this is going to give you access to the metaverse that we're building and the app that we're building currently. It's in the process. So that is in the process. And then we also give these kind of services. So if you're interested in any kind of product that you saw, which is, again, the avatars, animations, anything to do with the NFTs, anything to do with the digital fashion, then these are some of the services that we're currently doing. This is our roadmap. You can check it on our website. Again, some of the key features are here. And yeah, this is it. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you, Ayesha. I think that the one takeaway I learned from you is that fashion is a self-expression, right? I think that, yeah, I didn't, I come from the fashion, so I don't understand the deeply about, but I learned from you that the self-expression is very important, right? And then you gave the way to like how to like being from physical to digital and digital to physical. That's very important topic. Actually, was mentioned at the start when I work with a South Korean startup. Actually, our aim is to hyper connect like the two sides. Right, that's very important topic. And then another thing that I learned from you is that I talk about the technology limitation, the current technology limitation, like for example, reality technology like XR devices and like Apple Glass or some other like Meta's like wearable devices, something like that. But I learned from you another is that you choosing some color was another power, right? Not just for the like technology in the fashion. Another power actually that we can explore is like a creator's like imaginative and then creative way to using the color, because I can feel that from the selecting your color, that look and feel. Even it's not using the advanced technology like immersive technology or something like that, but even in the fashion and art, we can use that kind of a human like a capability, like choosing the like a colors, how you can through the color changing actually and then like environment changing and then harmony with the like environment, and then how you said about the self-expression about your color. Actually, we can cover that the limitation of the technology. That's I really differently learned from you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much, Alex, for having me.
Yeah. Okay, so next one, I'm doubt Miki, are you there? Okay, so our contact team. Okay, so next will be Jade. Jade.
Hello.
Can you start now? Yep.
Yeah, sure. That's no problem. Let me just share my screen. Great. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Alex, for organising this. It's been great so far, and actually, my presentation will be kind of a continuation about Ayesha's, actually, about digital identity and expression. So I'm Jade McSorley, based in London. I'm a co-founder of a fashion rental app called Lonehood, but I'm also a PhD researcher at the University of Creative Arts. Prior to this, I was a model for, well, 10 years before going back to study. And I also worked at the Fashion Innovation Agency at London College of Fashion. So today I want to kind of present something with my researcher head on, to be honest. And I want to have a look at the opportunities and the risks of the digitization of fashion from a sustainable lens. So my PhD research, it's a speculative exploration into the role of fashion that crosses the digital realm and physical world. I want to understand the relationship digital world and whether they have a connection to each other or whether they're separate. And this is all through the way that we express ourselves through fashion. So, and I want to understand why do consumers consume fashion for their digital identities. I often see digital fashion being used from a very kind of marketing perspective. It's mainly the brands that are adopting it. However, there's very little attention to actually how the consumers will use digital fashion, which I think is needs to be explored more depth. Hopefully my research will address that. And I want to ask the question, is it a new way, psychological and social impact? So these are three huge areas. So I'm not making my research any easier for myself. So essentially, I want to ask the question, is fashion, if fashion has so much importance in our physical reality, what role will it play within a virtual one? I just want to share a quick video. I hope actually you can hear this. But this is kind of where my journey started. I wasn't aware of digital fashion. This was about 4 years ago, and then suddenly this Carling digital collection came into the media and presented the first digital clothing collection. And it kind of provoked a lot of interested questions about the way that we consume fashion and for what purpose. So hopefully this video will play, but if not, I can describe it and send you the link in the chat. Yeah, it's not going to play, is it? Okay, well, hopefully, oh, there you go. The Wi-Fi issues, technology, hey. While it's buffering, basically the lecture was addressing the fact that we buy clothing for social media, and that in and out more than one, even on our social platforms. And this is highlighted by a study from Hubbub that also said that a lot of consumers of the younger generation were buying clothes for Instagram, and if it'd been shown on Instagram once, would not see it again. So digital, if our platform is digital, then why can't your clothes be digital? And then that was a need to not produce anything that was physical. So there's an opportunity there to create and produce clothes without needing to physically produce them, and it's a more sustainable solution. Another opportunity of digital fashion is also accessibility. Obviously Meta launched their fashion store where you could dress in Balenciaga and Tom Brown, and these were all for free, but obviously they're going to be monetized in the future. But again, is it a way of allowing people to dress in those brands that they could normally not afford in real life? But then, and when you look at what my research does touch upon it, but it's an opportunity for authenticity and exclusivity. A lot of fashion brands use NFTs to kind of open portals for their consumers and offering them, say, tickets to their runway show or something that provides a legacy to that physical product that could not be otherwise achieved without an NFT. So there's a bit of exclusivity there, but then also the NFT with the authenticity, knowing that you own something that's quite rare, is also increasing the value. But then you look at the risks. So this is where my devil advocate hat comes in. Could one thing just essentially be replacing the other? Digital fashion was seen as a solution for consumers to buy the digital version rather than having to buy the physical version. However, as things are growing, we're seeing that actually they're coming together, and you have the NFT, which produces a digital product. So is this just kind of fueling our overconsumption habits? Obviously, we talk about the energy consumption, especially of minting NFTs, and also the fact using digital clothes, it doesn't come from nothing. There's energy used to produce that. And is it providing too much exclusivity over accessibility? When we think about sustainability, we think about addressing everybody and trying to make things more inclusive and diverse. But however, are we adapting these technologies in a way that is leaving it kind of, for a certain few instead of for everybody? And there's a social pressure there that is still not been eradicated within the fashion industry. There's always been this social pressure to kind of buy more or wear certain brands. And again, are we fueling this within this kind of digital world? These are just questions that I want to present to you guys as the audience, and it would be really interesting to hear your thoughts upon this. And then I lead within to, digital identity and expression. Obviously, we have digital clothing, but they have to be worn onto somebody, whether that's an avatar, yourself online, or whether it's a digital version of yourself. So these are just a few kind of ways of which you can see people expressing themselves within the metaverse. So is this an opportunity for expressing identity and expression, as Ayesha was showing? This is Damara, this is the image of Damara, and she uses it to express her heritage and her culture. She comes from Mongolia, and she finds these kind of filters which she creates a way of expressing herself in a way that she couldn't do with physical clothes. Express herself in a way that is quite poetic, and it shows a side of her that she wants to kind of get out of her, I think. And is it an opportunity for representation and finding your community? Some of the research that I've done, I've found that online communities are a much safer space for people to share and be open and express themselves in a way in which they really want to see themselves. This is one of the first non-binary avatars that was created by the Institute of Digital Fashion. And again, on the other side, the risk. In pursuit of health and happiness and power, humans will gradually change first one of the features and then another and another until they will be no longer human. Is this something that we need to kind of consider? There are two researchers called Kozinet and Kazizo that speaks about multiphrenic nature, kind of this divided self. If we're creating these multiple identities, one exists in the physical world and one exists in the digital world, are we dividing ourselves or are we connected in some way? It's kind of a very kind of conceptual idea, but it's something that we need to think about, because how do we retain these kind of origins of identity? When we look at digital avatars and virtual influencers, there's an opportunity there for influence, for positive influence. And we can see little Michaela, she has over 1 million followers and has massive influence within, the fashion world and the music world. She's a singer, she's a model. She's here with a really famous supermodel, Bella Hadid, who's actually a real life supermodel. And she has a voice. But then again, is it a risk of deception and exploitation? Do we need to kind of bring out more disclaimers that they say these virtual influencers aren't real and are controlled by an agency or whoever has created them? It's their voice behind these avatars. Obviously, we have deepfake, which is another issue, which is this kind of video on the side. So that's obviously not Tom Cruise, that is deepfake Tom Cruise. But obviously it's very, you would think it was if you weren't sure about it. And one part of my research been taken a lot of my time. I'm only in my first year, so there's a lot to go. But as said earlier, I was a model for 10 years. I was working for e-commerce platforms quite a lot. And when I was working at the Fashion Innovation Agency, I had the opportunity to scan myself photogrammetry and volumetric, which was really interesting to see myself in that form. But obviously, I realized there was value in that, and there was a lot of use cases from my avatar, especially within a modeling capacity. So how can I monetize that? But actually something happened where when I kind of left the employment, I realized I never really actually owned that avatar because it was created in that employment of that company. So it really started making me think of different questions. If I wanted to monetize my avatar, then who owns it? And I actually didn't own it in the end. And when I was doing a lot of these projects, I was realizing there was my motion capture, which had value. There was my facial expression and my facial data that had value. There was my skeletal data that had value. And I started to realize that actually there was some kind of, I call it metadata of the digital self. There's elements in which I could have monetized and profited from that. But yes, there's a risk to my data, who owns it, where's that data stored? And I started to realize this was happening within the model industry, and a lot of models were being scanned by companies and used within e-commerce, but the models knew very little about this technology. Neither did the agencies. They didn't know they were going to be scanned, and there was no contract around it. So I've been starting to look into data ownership and data protection for these models, and working with the agencies closely to understand and educate them. And I did a few focus groups, which I'll leave it on because I think I'm running out of time, with some of the models, some in New York and some here in London. And it was very interesting to see how they see themselves, their digital version of themselves. And they still see it as an image. It's precious. It should be aligned with what they look like, because the farther away from that, the more unreal things are. They felt that their image was of just importance their physical self, because essentially a model is being paid for their image. So whether it was a digital version or whether it was a physical version that's been captured by photograph, they felt it had the same outcome and the same value. And they wanted their virtual self to be aligned with the physical real self, the real world, and to be manipulated in any way. And these are things that we need to lay the boundaries and the foundations. It's great, this technology, it's very innovative, but when it affects a person and it affects their livelihoods, it's some things that we need to consider. And that's it. I just the last slide is quite significant to me in my research. Truth is, human nature doesn't change, only our technology does. And every technology allows us to find out a new thing about ourselves. So this innovation is important, but it definitely raises a lot of ethical questions and considerations. And that is it. So thank you. Sorry, Alex, if I went a little bit over there.
Yeah, thank you. Fantastic. I learned from you, sort of fashion is about like identity, right? Because like a self-expression for what? Our identity. So it's a
Exactly.
smooth link with like Alicia's talk and yours, right? And then also I also saw another thing that maybe the next time Miki will talk about Web3 DAO or something like that. It's I think that one word DAO will provide like a self-sovereignty. So that means that we are the owner of our community. We decide, and then I think that each person has a power. And then with the power, actually, they can express fully about their identity and expression, right? So I think the next topic will be also smoothly linked with yours and Alicia. So next topic will be Miki's, right? Thank you, Jade.
Thank you.
Miki, are you there?
Yep. Hello.
Yeah. I have a pretty much high expectation from you, but your topic is somewhat very important. DAO. Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I was late, by the way. I was actually in the NFT gallery, which got flooded yesterday, and the internet is down. So sorry, everyone. I had to change.
Yeah, that's happened. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so if you have a presentation, you can share it and then you can start. And then before the actually before starting your presentation, maybe you can give your like an introduction. Yeah.
Cool. Let me get my presentation up. So
Share the slide, yeah, share the screen, and then yeah.
boom, 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 make it big. So yeah, quick introduction. Hello everyone. I am Miki from UK. Founded a few DAOs, a Web3 property DAO, and then ArtSect NFT gallery last year in 2021, physically in London with a collective focused on arts, music, and fashion. Everything went very well, and we've since scaled out. My mentor for Outlier Ventures, something called Third Academy, which is an upcoming Web3 education platform. And with a few of the speakers here tonight, we recently formed the Metaverse Fashion Council. So very into DAO infrastructure and how we're going to organize collaboration on Web3. Let me share my screen then. We might have that non-sharing capacity.
Oh, really?
Or I might have that non-sharing capacity.
No, you can just click the share screen button, and then you can share your screen.
Yeah, it's just taking me back to my settings quickly. Hold on. I think it's got a privacy lock, so I can't share on Zoom. All right, it's going to make me quit and re-enter. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 seconds.
Let me check before Miki come back. Dennis, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so you are the next. And then Marta, you were there, right? And
Yes, I'm
then,
here as well.
yeah, Lois, you're there, right? I checked that. And then Lauren, the final. Are you there? Not yet. Okay, so we still.
All good.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Be back. Okay.
I am back.
Yep.
Cool. Can you see the
Yeah.
deck?
Yep.
Let me get rid of you, maximize it. Amazing. So yeah, how can we look at DAOs to reorganize and reshape the different industries that feed into what we're doing and all of the different beautiful creations that you make? So as we're trying to highlight, whether it's an arts DAO, music DAO, fashion DAO, there's a lot of decisions that we can make. And as we voted before for Instagram, Amazon, or any of these other corporates that we use, the way we're going to have to vote and use on the Web3 technology is up to us. So we're going to have to reorganize, reshape the way we think and get into doing experiments creatively. So historically, if you look at the old company structure, whether this was a big fashion conglomerate or an arts capital holder, essentially what blockchain DAO mining people are saying is this has non-diverse decision making. So there's usually a really tight stakeholder group, director group that controls maybe like LVMH, a huge amount of brands, staff and different outputs, and this isn't great. And why this is not great, one of the main things is it's actually quite slow to innovate. This really small people that hold a bunch of capital might not be excited about the grassroots ideas or even hear that for another 2-3 years. So at the very least, this is slow. And then when you look at where innovation is often happening at that grassroots level and the different cultures forming, that gap is usually so hard that it takes a while to trickle down. And then again, when you look at the Web2 problem attached to this corporation problem, you've got the FANG stocks, but many other, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and obviously how they use cookies and our data to resell it back to advertisers and to create this whole consumer element. We're excluded from it, essentially. We're users, we're compliant, and we're giving very good data, but in actual essence, the people making that data are removed from it, in fact, being arbitraged by it. So all fashion designers, digital fashion designers on Instagram are essentially providing free marketing for this data selling platform that they use for advertising without us realizing it. And again, if this worked transparently and for the creators, this would be great. But as we know, Spotify, YouTube, etc., they start to slim the margins for these creators down. So you're producing, you're investing in your different equipment and your time. So your costs are going up, but at the same time, your profitability and the things you can yield from these platforms are getting reduced if you're a YouTube creator, etc. And again, their levels of responsibility in this are very poor, as there's no collective decision making. If the YouTube bosses decide it or Instagram decides it, this is now what they have to do. So yeah, if you follow the history of this, as lots of us all here know, we were not playing with all digital platforms before, and now we're suggesting very heavy integration with the metaverse. So this all started with those early platforms from peer-to-peer trading, LimeWire, and those early torrents onto those seeds of Facebook, Twitter, and what we now see as those social media monoliths. And if you look at the way people have interacted with those, we were maybe the cat video generation in early 2000s, just watching not the greatest levels of content on YouTube. And then like the long form education started to come in. We started to get influencers, people who had whole brands or channels on YouTube, then Twitch. So what we've really seen is this staging down of the ownership and some of the economy coming into the creators more and more. Now you can set up a YouTube and run your whole business or life off it, etc. And then we're suggesting the next level of future where designers are creating garments for games. These interlink with podcasts and music metaverse events. So we're really suggesting this web come down to the creative level, and that we own it together, which is where DAOs come in. So we're suggesting this fluid natured entity. A really prime example of that, as I mentioned, lots of us here are on the Metaverse Fashion Council, while owning our own separate brands, Alterage as well. And the way these organizations fluidly move, some of the staff, some of the ideas, some of the partnerships, have a more fluid and efficient mechanism than that old hierarchy, actually. So using this voting that we will speak about soon. So really a DAO, when you think of your wallet or your account on MetaMask, this is you, this is your decentralized identity for now. And you're acting as a single player when you're trading crypto or buying NFTs. And then when we bring together a selection of these wallets, usually linked by a Gnosis safe or a snapshot, some kind of tool, then this is where we become a DAO or a decentralized collective, or we get into this territory. There's later things with NFTs, but essentially we're suggesting shared ownership of digital assets and fluid decision-making between them. So if we collect a bunch of very expensive NFTs and then we decide to move them, transfer them, we can just do that on the fly with our MetaMask and Snapshot Gnosis account. And then we're also suggesting to integrate, like I'll get onto this later, in the same way that any current industry is clipped into the finance, property, and capital industry of that geography. The same as we're saying in blockchain, that if you're a fashion producer or an arts producer, you will be on the protocol DeFi level and hosting infrastructure for your geography as well. So this is integrated into the system, which we will come on to in more depth later. And importantly, this removes the need for any bosses. Anyone who is a DAO owner or has that wallet can just verify, transfer without the need for oversight. So these are the layers, what I'm talking about the blockchain. So in ArtSect, we operate a marketplace and physical outlets, but this comes into DAO incubation infrastructure. This is very much similar for the Metaverse Fashion Council. They have this DAO incubation infrastructure, and we'll be using education mechanisms and services and advisory mechanisms as their sales outlets, and these will go across the Metaverse. But then all of these different DAO groups will plug into a crowd-funded DeFi layer. Anchor is a really good example for now, where you can start to pool your resources together and essentially give more efficiency. So if ArtSect completes its raise and has a nice amount of money in its treasury, then this treasury, other DAO members or connected DAO brands would be allowed to incubate themselves to hopefully a more smoother extent than current industry allows. But this, if we can all master this, it would be really exciting. So if Facebook and the rest of the conglomerates manage to own that top infrastructure of DeFi and brand incubation and marketplaces, it's probably not going to be a very open Web3 space. And if we can really create an amazing ecosystem of value that provides those creators in there, then we could actually have a really, really cool thing. Here's some quick examples of some stuff, amazing things people have done with NFTs and DAOs. So Coachella, they created a Bloom NFT, which was also a ticket to their festival, which also now groups everyone into a big music DAO for further aims. And again, the way they used some of the profits in there, and I think there was some decision making in the festival. Very, very clever. And again, Caldita, there's a few others now, crowd-funded NFT films. So these NFT holders are a DAO that manages the film and the revenue from it. It's a very cool way to crowdfund new forms of media. This is our NFT gallery ArtSect in Hackney. So we've focused on arts, fashion, and music activations since last year. Mixed media, so you can see there's headsets, that's a tapestry in the middle, a 9-meter tapestry that had NFTs, digital versions on Rarible, and just a whole bunch. I think this is an old deck now, but there's even more exciting spaces opening up around W1 Curates in London, run by MAD. They've got some really good infrastructure doing immersive technology. Although I did not put a very amazing picture on it, the one in the bottom corner is when we had a digital fashion exhibition with Lauren from Alterage, who will speak later, and we were displaying their really amazing digital fashion designs, and you could scan the QR code and wear that fashion in the gallery as well while we had a party. So very fun applications of digital fashion there. And that was a DAO to DAO. So Lauren, who will speak later, is a DAO, or Alterage is a DAO. She is the leader, and we as ArtSect were a DAO, and this was a DAO to DAO collaboration partnership. We're actually doing an even bigger one next month with the Metaverse Fashion Council has provided resources for everyone to go to Digital Fashion Week in New York, with a collaboration between Alterage, ArtSect, and the brand I'll mention in a second, Never Fade Factory in London. So that's going to be really fun and very cool. Other examples, if you haven't seen World of Women, Pleaser DAO, Flamingo DAO, super, super cool. Really good ethics and really good inventions in the space for other people to take inspiration to hopefully build their own DAOs. And just quickly, as there's lots of creators on here, on this bottom point, forming direct relations with art collectors without intermediaries. What I mean by this is similar to how me and Alterage and Artsect did that exhibition, in that if there's an art collector DAO like Pleaser DAO or Artsect and we collect it in the gallery, then these are new ways, I suppose, that those groups would want to collect and store that work. So this would be, I suppose, the ideal customer for new digital fashion people or sculpture creators, any digital creators, not just selling NFTs, but storing them in time capsules with different, like Pussy Riot DAO is a really good DAO, really activistly set up. So they will store your work for a long time and it will have quite strong cultural value on the blockchain going forward. So there'll be a very interesting way in which these DAOs start to curate the work that you're doing and position it in the wider sphere. And that involves loads of cool technology. This is quickly Never Fade, which was already running as a collective in Soho. Our good friend T was running that, and this was already a collective physical design that recycles clothes. And as I mentioned, the Metaverse Fashion Council has helped us with Artsect go to New York and make a Phygital version of the garments that are going to be released next month. So look out for that. And obviously, I'm sure you know, Artifact and the rest of the gang has been doing very well. Balenciaga, I think, released a fetish game and some skins. So check out all the big ones if you haven't. Ouroboros, Digital, Institute of Digital Fashion, and The Fabricant are our favorites, and Altero. But yeah, that is us. If anyone would like to get in contact, add us on any of the socials and come say hello.
Wow, thank you, Miki. I think that is fantastic because you know that I'm also like a blockchain expert, and then I knew that the concept of the DAO already there. Maybe the first time I know about it is around the year 2015, was more than 7 years ago. But yeah, the philosophically, yeah, is a blockchain for the decentralization, and the DAO is a natural way to like organize a community. But I never seen that was successful before. But I think that I can feel that you will be the first one, will be the successful DAO, especially in the fashion and art area. I thank you for that, because yeah, I think that it's like a stepping like a stone for the other DAOs, like how actually the organized DAO. So maybe you will be the role model for that. So thank you for that. And another thing that actually I have some question to you, because you already experienced DAO. I also like now designing DAO for actually working in the fashion area. But I've seen that DAO actually that recently one of the United States, like one state actually like allow DAO as a register as LLC in here. But I think that DAO is not the company, right? DAO is a community, is ecosystem. So DAO is not the one company operating like, for example, R&D, like a business and sales. It's ecosystem, not just company, right? Because it's a much broader concept than like LS like in the company. And then the issue actually that I also like try to resolve is that the currently DAO does not include every stakeholders, players, especially for the fashion like consumers, right? Because DAO is still like for the mania, for the NFT collection, art collections, or the some of the boutique, some of the luxury fashion, or the So it's very, very like a narrow scope, and particularly for the like a specific, usually the rich people, right? Because I know that if you have recently I've looked at a lot of the trial in the launching the DAO in the luxury fashion, and then if you join the DAO, actually you need to pay a lot of money, right? Yeah, but how we can actually, my dream, that is to develop really like DAO for general public. Fashion is for everyone, not just for the luxury or rich people. And do you have any strategy? I'm also thinking about, I want to have some shared idea with other experts, like how actually they include this general fashion consumers to the DAO, and especially the metaverse fashion to link with the physical fashion, right?
Yeah, super important questions. And I love the ecosystem thing that you said versus a company, because I think that is currently a mess. I used to work for Aragon, and we were dealing with this mess constantly. And as you say, the finance at the moment, or legal, there's Wyoming, and there's a few offshore entities that will register your DAO for liability protection. But whether this functions as the ecosystem thought that we're thinking, probably not. So we need a lot of lobbying and governmental work there. But then what you said, I think that's the main thing we're working on in both the Metaverse Fashion Council and ArtSect. I know a lot of other cool people are, again, Alterage is looking at the same, and how can we not make these investor DAOs that are, it's an investor DAO, it's some other thing, but how can we really truly reach the next 100,000 people, the next million people, and onboard them in and get them involved in creator DAOs? So I'm happy to share our structures with everyone, because everything's supposed to be open source. But from initial sales, whether this is NFTs or tokens, we're definitely leaving a lot of room for grants and gifts. So the NFT council that will set proposals, that essentially looks after all of the assets of the DAO, they will be allowed to pick and choose, essentially give grants, or people can propose amazing people who are just doing really good work, and they can be gifted or given the same NFTs that people have bought into. Maybe the Western people have bought them for expensive, other people have had access and given them for free. So that's a really good mechanism. And then looking again in both DAOs at reputation-based tokens, whether this is like non-soul-bound tokens, non-transferable tokens, and allowing everybody access, free access. So we're going to do this in the Metaverse Fashion Council, is have an education facility taught by all the really amazing advisors, and anyone can have access to those courses. When you complete them, you can receive non-transferable badges, which is your reputation. And then maybe if you get 10, 20 different badges, you'll again be eligible for a grant to the ecosystem. And I think that's really important what you said. How are we onboarding and bringing in and empowering the next large amount of people, not just making more crypto money in a small isolated space?
Thank you for your insight. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, maybe we can talk later, right? Because that's very, very important, critical point actually to reserve as experts, right? So I'm also very thinking about it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so next is Dennis. Could you unshare your screen, and then Dennis will join? Okay.
Hi Alex. Hi everyone. So I don't have slides. So.
Oh yeah, you can talk, right?
Yeah, sure. I will just start from a self-introduction, and then I can talk about some of the Web3 related sustainability I worked on in Tapestry. So I started my career in the technology industry. So I first worked for Oracle for 5 years, and then I worked for Apple for 3 years. Between this 8 years, I worked on some software as a service, some real-time machine learning, and also delivered some projects related to extend reality. Then I switched my career to the fashion industry. I joined Tapestry to lead the software organization there. For those who you don't know about Tapestry, it's a global entry-level luxury fashion company with about 6 billion annual revenue with brands such as Coach, K-State, and Stuart Weitzman. So during my time there, I worked on some like sustainability related projects. I will just pick some of the I think most innovative one to talk about here. For the others, such as the digital physical twins or some other projects, probably a lot of folks have already mentioned. So one of the sustainability initiative we took at Tapestry is more like each year, just as all the other fashion houses, the company will publish a white paper for the sustainability across the value chain. So it's a very long and boring document with over 100 pages, but essentially it's the purpose of this document is to quantify how the company does in the sustainability area across the entire different stages. For example, we have the raw material production sustainable index. We have that. We have the sustainable metrics for the production or the manufacturing stage as well. And for each of these stages, there are like carbon emissions and the water pollutions and also the labor and animal cruelties. But the challenge we worked on was when you look at those quantified numbers from third parties, it's hard to tell whether it's reliable or not. So for example, for the same piece of textile material, a particular factory may use different manufacturing process to produce during the year. So it may not be a very objective way to just use one number to quantify the impact on water pollution. So when we look at Web 3.0, right? Like a lot of speakers talked about, it's very exciting and it has impact on authenticity and traceability. And it also free up the entire creative community, no matter within the fashion brand or outside, to create fascinating products. So if we look at the challenge and the Web 3.0 technology together, there are something we worked on is more like we could use Web 3.0 back to the supply chain. So imagine if you can enable the traceability and authenticity on those textile materials, then you have a very reliable source of truth to understand what's sustainability impact in different areas, including social and environmental sustainability impacts. If you have the Web 3.0 and the connection to the creative community, you can kind of authorize certain fashion designs and get them produced with this traceable raw material. And another thing is, I mean, it may sound a little bit ridiculous to start with, but just to give it an example, there is an Italian fashion company called Loro Piana. They have a very rare material. It's cashmere, but it's from the baby goat in the Andes mountain at a very high elevation. So that kind of material is very rare. If we use that as an example, we can use Web3 technology to authenticate it and trace it and authorize the design community that's decentralized and to produce the fashion product with a certain branding recognition, that could be a viable business model. So that's probably ramp up my my presentation here. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, actually, in a personal discussion with you, that we are focused on Web3 and the Metaverse, and then I have a separate webinar about this topic before with other experts, and also you mentioned about this cannot be like a complete reserved like a sustainability and anti-circularity matters in the fashion industry, and I completely agree with you, because I also have expertise in traditional sustainability ESG. And I organize many different type of the like certainly ESG relate to webinar before, and communicate with the global experts or something like that. And then I think that fashion is the most like a notorious area like for the anti-sustainability and anti like a circular economic matters. For example, a lot of you mentioned about the fabric production and sourcing and the waste of the like resources and the waste of the like energy and water, and then it's very difficult to like life cycle management, and a lot of the like fashion clothing is it end up being in the waste and then cannot be recycled, a lot of things. And then yeah, and then but another aspect of the like sustainability is that we cannot solve everything, because you know, like because there are I know that there are a lot of the experts working on that, but we cannot solve even the, you know, the climate change. Recently, we have like a disaster, like in like weather changes in the hot weather, like a drought, and then a lot of the rain coming out, and there is warning like a global warming. Even the like last year, the UK have the COP26, and we have like a global like a summit. But we cannot solve it. But at least that as an expert like you, I'm like you, I'm a tech background, and mostly I was in high tech, and then the company you mentioned that I'm familiar with, that I'm looking for the way actually as a technology expert that how we can actually contribute to like resolve these issues. And one way is maybe that we can talk like a metaverse, and then digital fashion can be like exploiting for the like less ways to like, because people can try in the avatar or something like that, and then we know about like on demand production, and then we can also like looking at like a supply chain or other things, but still we need like get together, and then we think about each other, collaborate. I think that we need to, that kind of stays really needed. And then you know that I'm going to have a separate webinar in the traditional sustainability in the fashion industry, especially the issue in the sustainability is that I experienced for a couple of like, for example, for over more than 1 year, I communicate with the sustainability expert through my webinar and other webinar. And the issue, actually, the fundamental issue is how actually they can balance between sustainability and profitability, because business is profitable, but we need to also care about the society, environment, and everything. And then so actually we need some clever way to design business model and provide technology and then changing people's minds. So we need a change. So actually I employ like a digital transformation as a way to actually can combine the sustainability issue to make them as a more sustainable. That actually I was already published an article, but I'm going to have a separate webinar next month about how we can balance sustainability and then profitability in the fashion industry, specifically can resolve and contribute so much. So I'd like to invite you at the time also, like as a technology expert and experience in fashion and sustainability. So thank you for you like initiate something that you share your insight, and then yeah, that's a very important aspect that we need a lot of the like stakeholders, not just for like investment and then traditional like a sustainable ESG professionals like you, like a technology expert can join and then think about together can contribute to the how we resolve. And then fashion is the really the best, yeah, good example that we need to think about. Okay.
Thanks,
thank
Alex.
you. Yeah. Okay, so next will be Marta. I think that she waited for a long time. Sorry about that.
No, I was really listening. It was really interesting. So, can you hear me? Can you see my slides?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So you've done a perfect intro to my presentation, because I'm going to be talking about sustainability, digitalizing sustainable fashion consumption, and I will go back also to our physical lives, because I think that's really also very important. However, first, so I'm just going to tell you quickly who I am. So I'm fashion innovation strategist. I've been working in fashion industry for over 20 years now. I'm concentrating on sustainability, consumer behavior, and all the technological innovation that can help more responsible fashion consumption. I have experience also in production management, photo shoots, fashion shows. I'm also advisory board in Metaverse Fashion Council, which was mentioned today as well. And yes, so first of all, let's talk about fashion, because it's such a big part of our culture, and it's something that every human can, every person can relate to, as we all wear clothes. This is our communication tool, and thanks to it, we can express ourselves. And even if you think that you're not into fashion, you don't care about what you're wearing, people will have a perception of us simply by looking at us, and that's even subconscious that they will judge our appearance. So yes, fashion is also a business concentrating on novelty and innovations and earning money, as you said. We have haute couture, craftsmanship, and bespoke items on one side. There is fast fashion, however, on the other, which means the high volume of low-cost clothing, imitating the high-end designers and collections. And as you said as well, I'm going to repeat you that it's one of the most polluting industry, and the complexity of this industry, it's really great. It has significant footprint on the exploitation, not only natural resources, but also people working in extremely poor conditions. And while thinking about fashion, think about all the pesticides used in farming, toxic dyes used in manufacturing, the large amount of natural resources used in the whole clothing chain. But also, when we're talking about digital fashion, also think about the talents who are working there. Quite often, people are not realizing how many hours are going into creation of digital clothes. So those visuals actually are from a True Cost movie, which if you haven't seen it, it's for a few years back, but it's really worth seeing. I'm really recommending this one. So yes, so there is also a growing problem of overconsumption of clothes and waste management, and the significant proportion of garments are purchased on impulse, and quite a lot of them are actually never worn. There's almost 92 million tons of textile waste creating every year. $460 billion worth of repairable clothes are thrown away each year. 82% of waste textile could be actually cleaned, repaired, and resold again. And extending the life of the garment by only 9 months would reduce the carbon footprint by around 30%. So that's why we can also see the rise of resale business models as well, because people are realizing this, and actually it says there's also legislation coming. The brands are not allowed anymore to burn unsold collections. So they're trying to figure out how to earn money in the other ways. And this is what the Jade mentioned as well, that the fast fashion items are particularly attractive for young consumer living on, well, sorry, not this one, but that's the digital items actually are worn for social media. So this is replacement of those fast fashion items that people were buying just to show themselves on the social media, and after showing them, they were just throwing them away. they couldn't repeat. So yes, so they are very attractive for young people that are very active on social media and disposing the primary because they can't repeat. And it was researched that after being pictured online with the clothing, 1 in 10 goes to the landfill. But it's not only social media. We can see the other items that being just only once used, holidays, barbecues, festives, weddings. So you can't just repeat it. That's what the marketing is telling us, you know. However, luckily there is a market shift in attitudes, and there is a rising awareness around climate change, which I think we can all feel nowadays. And this is one of the big reasons for this. However, hyper-conscious consumers are demanding more sustainable solutions for brands, and they have vast ability to impact actually fashion market and vote with the wallets. Despite those changing attitudes towards sustainable consumption, the complexity of the fashion industry can mean that individuals just feel powerless, that, you know, just they can't, their own decision won't change the bigger picture. So that's called the locus of control, which plays very important role here. And when we hear negative information, especially nowadays, you know, we have so many problems, and we just can't hear anymore about the environmental problems. If we want to boost our moods, we're just going shopping for clothes, and you know, that's more our instinct. And a lot of people are just overwhelmed and powerless. So so we just need to remember that, you know, even small changes in our personal behavior on a bigger scale, it really can bring an impact. And just a little bit of terminology, because, you know, sustainability is such a overused word and buzzword. I'm trying not to use it anymore because it becomes a little bit, buzzword, not a little bit. So sustainability is the use of goods and services that respond. You can read it here. I'm not going to read it for you. And it really depends from person to person what we think by sustainability. From brands to brands, it might be easier actually to, in my opinion, to develop the narrative around responsible fashion instead. And yes, greenwashing, that's what brands are doing. That's why they're using sustainability. So Generation Z, of course, they have high expectation on brands. They demand real action in sustainability. And fashion has not marketing tactics like greenwashing. So if we're talking about greenwashing, you can imagine about, you know, sometimes fashion brand can use a single sustainable project or moment to manipulate consumer into believing the brand entire value chain and ethos is ethical. And this is often evident in consumer-facing initiatives like communication campaigns, advertising, a fashion collection, single fashion collection, brand packaging, but leaving all other irresponsible supply chain details decision hidden. So yes, but at the same time, we're spending much more time in front of the screen, and technology has fundamentally changed consumer behavior. And our social lives are now predominantly playing out online, and therefore our main channel to present ourselves and share our identities digital. So fashion, of course, needs to stay relevant to audience to ensure its future. So as necessity is the mother of invention, we can see a lot happening now in the fashion space, especially from the start of the pandemic. Brands which were nearly bankrupting on the bankrupt, they decided that they really need to change something. Fashion startups are booming and brands are experimenting with innovation. And many of those innovations have huge potential to drive sustainability in the fashion industry. And in the very near future, future, we can imagine that computation will be everywhere. We can think about artificial intelligence that will result in better and more efficient innovation product offering. However, as Jade said again, we need to be careful about the data that we are sharing. And low cost and high quality 3D printing will alter manufacturing. And actually material science might also change how we wear our clothes. And we can see already that augmented reality is becoming a common tool for product visualization. And we have quite a lot of fun in privileged places, at least to try virtual clothes. So yes, so fashion and technology definitely looks very promising and can create a better, more convenient fashion future for everyday consumer. However, I really think that it should be about embracing the idea of designing clothes that not only look good, but that will come with life-changing benefits. So yes, we can notice digital models taking part in virtual commercial. There is rise of virtual garments that could be useful for sampling design. That's really helping sustainability and lower the impact of the reduction. Then we can also express ourselves in a different way by dressing our avatars with much smaller environmental footprint. So I've got the numbers here that the life cycle carbon footprint of the production of the single t-shirt from design to disposal generates 7.8 kilos CO2. And to comparison, the digital only t-shirt generates 0.26 kilo. So the reduction then more than 97% carbon impact. So that's quite impressive. Furthermore, we see more and more plenty virtual closet application, which can really help us to realize what we already have in our wardrobes and what we really need. We don't need to buy another black t-shirt, which we already have 10 on the back of our wardrobe. So it's very useful for someone that shop for pleasure as well, and can help us to reduce spending. And we can see also digital labels that can be very helpful, for the resale market. And then what I want to say, so I forgot. There's another number that World Economic Forum predicts that 30% of our garments will be digitalized, and most of them will have digital labels as well. So that can be very interesting also for Metaverse and NFTs maybe as well. It can connect very nicely. So yes, so there is definitely a lot of hype around Metaverse, a lot of talks, a lot is happening, a lot is being designed at the moment. We could see not long time ago, just before summer holidays, Metaverse Fashion Weeks in Decentralized, Vogue Business, then also the conferences with Yahoo Metaverse Experience. For me, my personal experience is there's still a long way to go, but it can open the imagination. So that's really useful that people are trying, and experimenting. And we can also see the brands, beginning to create in 3D. And I think that's the beginning, that's how we can utilize all the platforms as well. And I'm concentrating quite a lot on games as well, not just Metaverse, but games per se. I've been doing research 7 years ago of gamification and how it can facilitate sustainable fashion consumption. So that's definitely very interesting, because the next generation of consumers are experience-driven, highly visual, and digitally native. And gaming currently is the best social media platform for brands to reach Generation Z. So mobile game market is huge. It was $77 billion. Sorry, $120 billion. It's rising, constantly rising. There is 3 billion mobile gamers worldwide, and actually the perception of male hardcore gamer is wrong, because there is more women playing on mobiles nowadays for procrastination on the way and in the trauma underground. So that's quite interesting as well. So because of the above, we can really also see fashion brands jumping on the wagon and heavily adapting this segment market and use of gaming to engage with audience and marketing to them. And many fashion brands are betting on selling skins for avatars. And you can imagine also like selling those branded skins are like entry points for brands. So kind of in the physical world, lipstick, right? So I was thinking about and researching behaving change solution, looking at the games. So all above is super fun and exciting and have a lot of potential. However, I strongly believe that games with this huge audience have much greater power than just be entertaining marketing platform, because changing patterns and behavior can be challenging. Making tools that distract habits and facilitates and supports new action is really important in changing clothing behavior. So that to make sure that we are not buying as much as we do currently. And there's a lot of people that are shopaholics as well, but I blame the really strong marketing and all the time changing trends. So games are really great educational and motivational tools that have huge potential to bring positive change. And it was used for different industries as well, not just fashion, but you can educate soldiers, for example, how to go to the war. You can also educate people how to consume fashion. And so I truly believe that can and should confront some problems also that fashion industry have. However, it is super important also when thinking about Metaverse to remember about the healthy balance in digital worlds and physical lives. Using all the game mechanics, they are super addictive, and that's also what attracts fashion industry, because it can really manipulate, not just motivate, but manipulate people to buying something that we don't really need. So if you were playing games, I'm sure that some of you got really hooked into it and couldn't stop. It's like some easy games like Candy Crush are one of the most addictive, actually. So for this, it's really crucial to understand the consumers, how to engage the audience, and especially when the subject might not necessarily be very important to them. That's why the consumer research is super important here. Then fun play huge role in education and engaging people. And games, of course, are fun. And they are very different: easy fun, serious fun, people fun, and hard fun, which can be implemented in the game. And regards researchers, they argue that only 3 things can change our behavior in the long term, which is epiphany, a change on environment, and taking baby steps. So the change of environment might be super interesting, talking about virtual worlds, metaverse, games, and also small steps methods in combination of those 2 might be super interesting in examining the game concept. And so just to start closing this gap between consumer attitudes and actual behavior, there is a folk behavior model that might be very useful. And that shows that 3 elements might be converged the same moment behavior change to occur. And that I told about this because we're working on such a game. It's our research project called Portobello, where we really on the mission that want to provide platform that accelerate the move towards share and circular economy and help fashion games help people to behave more sustainably. So thank you very much. That's it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that it's a very important topic because you mentioned about the gamification. So actually we can encouraging people to more sustainable in their consumption, right? So especially the fashion and reuse of the fashion clothes or something like that. That's one of the power of the technology, can be like gamification and the metaverse, and then including in the digitalization. So we can maybe at least we can encourage people to change by providing some incentives to doing that or something like that. I like that kind of topic also. Yeah, so I think that we are far behind in the schedule. So next will be Louise. She worry about the time. Are you there?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Could you please start? Yeah, we can start. Yeah, we can finish in maybe you and the last one will be the so we can finish in like a 20 minutes or something like that, right?
Hi everybody. Yeah. I can go quite quickly. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm Louise.
Oh, can you share your presentation again?
Yeah, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Just share screen in the bottom. Yeah, in the bottom.
Share screen. What's going on here?
Yeah, your Zoom window in the bottom.
And then,
You will see the share screen button in the green.
yeah, share.
Mm-hmm.
Allow.
And then you need to choose the first one to share the whole screen.
Well, share. Well, it normally just lets you share. Allow. And just technical problems.
Probably you asked the Miki. So Miki has a separate. You had a similar.
Yeah, it's not actually in my Dropbox, and I can't where are my files. Oh. I might have to leave and then come back again as well. Let me try that quickly. Hold on.
Lauren, are you there?
Hey, I'm here.
Are you okay with the time? Because it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, because this is my maybe the more than 100 times I did this kind of webinar, but I always have a problem with the timing. Yeah, because we have a lot of speakers and unexpected technical problem. I always sorry to the last speaker like you.
No problem.
So you're located in where now? In
You're talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Paris. It's not that
Yeah,
late.
Paris.
It's only 8:15, so
yeah, Paris.
totally fine.
Yeah. Paris is the kingdom of the passion, right? Because a lot of the famous big brand in fashion is in like Paris, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of the luxury houses here. That's a bit why I came here pretty much. I'll tell you guys a bit more during my presentation, but yeah, Paris.
And then look at your profile, the LinkedIn profile picture, like a fashionable coloring and design style. So I think that it's a fashion world. Maybe to save time, then you can start a little bit, right? Then Marta join and Louise join and then she can Louise join again. Okay.
Yeah, I see her now. Hey Louise, did you oh I think you're on mute, Louise.
So why don't you,
Louise, can you unmute?
I'll figure this out. I'm on a different.
Okay, I see you have two screens. Yeah, I can go ahead.
Oh,
this is my
okay, two screen. Okay. I'm confused.
Louise, should I go ahead while you get some more time to set up?
Okay, well, I go onto my other computer, see if I can link it that way. You start.
Okay, let's see. Maybe I have the same problem, so let's see. All right.
Oh,
okay.
Perfect. Yeah, okay.
Any luck? It's okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna start the slideshow. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys. Great to be here. Really enjoyed so far the presentations. Yeah, thanks Miki for the shout out for Entourage. Really enjoyed always your perspective on DAOs, and also Jade and Ayesha for your perspective on digital fashion and Phygital. Also some topics that I'll be chatting about today. So my topic is quite large and it's also quite future focus. So I suppose keep that in mind during the presentation, that these are things that we're building now, we're figuring out now. They're not things that have currently been set in stone. So a bit about me. I definitely have a lens of a designer. I'm American, but I've lived in London and New York, and I'm now, like you said, Alex, based in Paris. And so I came here to work in luxury houses like Saint Laurent and Loewe, and really came with like the dream of working in luxury. And I mean, I think a lot of us have had similar experiences, maybe during COVID, kind of caused us to step back, reevaluate how do we want to move forward in this new space that's very digitally integrated as well with Web3. So I came across Web3 and digital fashion about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And really when I saw it, I became really inspired and re-energized with my perspective as a designer. And so I've worked in production. Sorry, I have my Telegram. I can't figure out how to turn off the notifications. But it's like I work in tech and I still can't figure this out. But yeah, so worked in production, worked in design in these different spaces. But I kind of kept noticing there's two problems that I kept facing as a designer or on the technical side. And so in fashion, I feel we have a long way to go in two perspectives. The first is, how do we create product? Right now, it's disposable. We don't know where it comes from. There's a lot of waste. So how can we use Web3 and use technology to improve that process? And the second is the structural organization of companies, of fashion, right? That's like what Miki was touching on. Right now, it's very, hierarchical. It's quite difficult to enter. I have been really lucky to have opportunities to go to these big cities and try to work in these companies, but I know a lot of others don't, because it requires a lot of investment, a lot of time. And so how can we just make fashion more open as well as digitally integrated? So this is a big mission. It's a big vision, but this is where we're starting with at Entourage. And so we began about a year and a half ago, and we are a DAO-led Phygital fashion label. And so I'll start to break down kind of those two things. First off, like, what is Phygital? What does that mean? And then go more into the DAO side. Though keep in mind, right, these are both really big topics. So I'll just go through an overview. So the first is about this idea of Phygital. So this is, I think, very new, that we think about owning digital goods at the same level as something physical. So for example, like these earrings that I'm wearing, these are an example that we did with Jevels, with Entourage back in October. And I basically wear these earrings on my Zoom calls, and I value them more than my physical ones. So I can see that there's already an opportunity to transition for this perspective of starting to own digital like you would physical. And so for me, I still think there's three spaces where we create our identity. The physical, right? We're very aware of this. It's something that we have to improve, but still quite understandable for most consumers, right? The second would be like this augmented space. So something like augmented reality. And so this, we are still quite far, I think, right? We still, like, you try in a filter, it's not quite matching to your face, it glitches. So we still have to technically advance on that. And then the third is digital. And so that's right, more in the metaverse, something that's really like a hot topic. So, but I think, right, we still have a long way to go for that to be fully integrated into our lives and as consumers of fashion. So a little bit more specific on what Phygital is. So there's a lot of different ways to define it. And that's why I think it's also really interesting to have this crossover between the physical and the digital. So Momentum Agency in 2013 was pretty much the first to define this. So they just said it's the concept of using technology to bridge the digital with the physical. And so, I mean, that's quite broad, but we're already starting to see examples of this. For example, digital twins is a really, I would say, good way to start for a lot of brands to create a product in the physical space and then put it in the metaverse, or do the other way around, create a digital NFT that then, for example, can launch the pre-order for your manufacturing. So lots of opportunities, I would say, with Phygital, while we're still waiting for the metaverse really to be fully integrated into our lives. And so, as I started to mention, Entourage is a emerging DAO-led fashion label. So we're a fashion label first and foremost. And what we do is create collections that are physical, augmented, and then in the digital space. And so here's a couple of projects that we've done previously. I should also add in the one with Miki from Artsect in here. So about a year ago, we launched our first fashion film that was about the integration of activism of e-waste into a digital space. And so we were really one of the first to kind of combine this idea of activism and fashion and digital. And so we were showcased in Paris at the Aswa Film Festival. Also, these earrings have been traveling around. We were showcased in New York Times for those with Jevels. And right now we're currently working on our first LTL, larger than life metaverse collection, which is soon available on our website as like an NFT. So something that's really specific to us is this idea of meta-reality, which is a word I made up because, you know, if there aren't words already existing, let's make some up. So it's this idea of the three spaces that I described, combining the metaverse, the augmented, and then the physical realities. And not only that, but how can we take our products and adapt them in the most sustainable formats, in corresponding ways with utility. So this is more of a visual of like what I mean by that formula. And so our LTL collection, so this is what we're about to launch, is the digital space. We are working with Style Protocol, who helps to give that utility in Decentralized and Roblox and different metaverses. So that's where we start. And so after that, we'll be working on the ORL collection, like these filters, for example. And then finally is the IRL, the physical, making sure that it's really, you know, a sustainable circular supply chain, which also will take time to get manufacturers and consumers kind of on a new system of pre-order or made on demand. So like I mentioned, the IRL, this is the physical. So basically only making when there's a demand. And so that's something that NFTs can really facilitate. So you, for example, can test with your users what is the most popular products. You can then mint them, and then when someone purchases it, can trigger basically a made-to-order production. And so that's what we're setting up. It takes a lot of different players to come together, but we're finding a lot of interesting people to start to work on that to begin our physical. And so for the ORL, the on real life, here are some examples of filters that were also showcased with Artsect. And so this is really, like the digital layer on reality. And for us, we do something that's more like a textual basis, that kind of like a digital embroidery. And so it also kind of helps to mitigate some technical barriers that you face around matching different things to your head, to your body, since we're still quite far to having something hyper accurate for filters. And then, like I mentioned, the last, the LTL. So creating really like crazy larger than life pieces and putting that on an avatar in a metaverse to really explore identity in a way that you can't physically. So yeah, I think I'd say this formula, it's really about using products by format and by utility, ideally in a more sustainable way to create our identity. So that is the first big topic of Phygital, what it means to us, how we're developing our collections. And so it's definitely a new approach and a different one, more that is modular versus trying to kind of make digital twins. And so then it brings to the question of, okay, like, how do we do that? Like, how do we come together and create these collections in a decentralized way, which like Miki was saying, like there's still a long way to go as far as legislation around different types of Web3 technologies, integration of blockchain with voting. Like there's so many elements that are within this system, but we are still starting and moving forward with it. So a big thing for us, and really why I started Altarage, was to use digital to improve the physical. And so that's really like a mentality that we all have within the DAO, within the collective. And that's honestly how I've met a lot of the people on my team. Like it's happened quite organically. And so starting with values versus just sales, which is obviously still needed, but has brought together a really interesting combination of people, diverse people who are coming from tech, from activism, from creation, designers. And so how do we now start to organize ourselves in a way that is less hierarchical, but still organized in a way to deliver collections and create product in accordance with our formula. So this is basically how we're structured. We're divided into kind of like 4 groups. And so if, for example, someone wants to join us, you can enter our Discord. So this is right now on Twitter. You can just grab the link there. And so you can kind of start to explore these 3 or 4 different spaces. So the first is more the studio, where we're creating the products. The second is more the community, where we showcase, we speak about them, connect with the DAO outside. And then the lab, where we have like this tech support, because what we do is really technically integrated. And then the fourth, not necessarily within the DAO, but still a very important component, is the collector and the user and those who are experiencing the products. So this is, a diagram of basically how we function. And so those who are in the DAO begin as a member, and then you have an opportunity to kind of gain through contribution different levels. And so I think hierarchy is not necessarily a negative word. I think it's more lack of transparency with the organizations. And so because we still have to kind of organize in ourselves and still have those who lead and help to facilitate, because problems I've had in the past with DAOs are just like onboarding is confusing. And so we're trying to figure out how can we simplify that. And so basically there's kind of these 3 groups that we're launching projects within. And so that's how someone could get involved. So like I mentioned, these different kind of profiles. The first is more around connecting, around doing events, around spaces, coming together to write more in like the social media, and also a bit more short-term kind of contributions. The second would be collecting. So trying out the pieces, wearing them, exploring like where they could fit in different places, and also kind of giving access to future events and experiences. The third is this idea of like creating and collaborating. So that takes more of a form of like short projects. So like something like ArtSect, right? We collaborated DAO to DAO. So that provides an option to have a more short experience with the DAO versus something more long-term. And those who are in the DAO are more there like on a consecutive basis, whether it's weekly in meetings, contributing time, but then learning and then exchanging with a really interesting group of people. So yeah, that's a lot of information, I'm sure. But if anyone's interested to join us or just learn more about us, you can join our Discord. The link is in our Twitter. I think Altarage Label is our account. I then would advise you to join an event. So our next one is on Monday. I put the times here, 8 p.m. My time in Paris. And then the last would be to apply for a project. And we can explain more about how that works in one of these calls. So thank you guys. Hope I didn't run too long, but pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Lauren. I think that the that I'm not in the fashion, but mostly I'm a technologist. And when I started my Metaverse webinar, and it's something that I keep some delivering my insight about the Metaverse, actually I mentioned that the current status of the Metaverse is partial, because for example, you listen, there was a Time magazine like a cover story about the Metaverse, but you think about the rankings into the Metaverse. A lot of people, the current mainstream, talk about into the Metaverse. I think that this is a partial, because a Metaverse is not into the Metaverse is surrounding us, because the Metaverse include physical space, right? And then virtual space. They combine, merge. And then in the future dream, You don't know about whether you're in the virtual or the real, right? It's like a Matrix movie, but we are the current mainstream that a lot of people talk about, for example, driving by game, like social media, like Meta, they all are rejoined to the virtual world, right? But actually the real power is coming from actually how actually the virtual can be naturally combined to our physical space. I think the Phygital is really that concept, right? In the technologically, a lot of people for the providing reality, they talk about like virtual reality and augmented reality and mixed reality. I think that the like a Phygital actually implementing the technology realization through the like a Phygital means that the mixed with the digital and the physical, and then you implementing the real life and the virtual life and combining. So I really like this, because I found that the phrase actually that because I always insist that the into the metaverse is a part, but we are going to be in the metaverse will be the correct language, right? Will be in the metaverse in the future. And then I think the fashion will be the leading edge in the concept, and then like a physical fashion, digital fashion, and the Phygital will combine, right? In completely, and then we will really have a power to create a new economic power to generate new values through the concept. So I really like in the fashion industry, and then they have that in actually that kind of concept already. So I don't need to insist that we are not partial, because I think the fashion already in the metaverse, right? So I thank you for the concept of the kind of Phygital and the combining two sides. Thank you. Okay, so our next speaker is waiting. So Louise, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let me see if I can try again.
You can have any time you want.
Oh gosh, it's so technical to share my screen. Here. So one second. On a technology conference, and then I can't share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on one second.
Kimberly, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry,
You know that you have a similar problem before, right?
Yeah.
Alex, I was thinking the same thing. This is Kimberly, and I'm said, I feel bad for her, but I want you to see it happens to all of us sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh God, terrible.
I feel
One
like
second,
you. We're in
God.
the technology industry,
And
but
we
we still
can't
have to
work
deal
out
with
how to share our
technology.
screen.
Yes.
One second.
If you want, and if you share your slide, and I can share for you, or other option is that you can just talk and then share your presentation later, so you have a clarity.
Let me see if I can share it with you. That might be better.
Yeah, so just send me your in the LinkedIn. Then
Yeah, one second then. It's the pressure, isn't it? When you've got to do something quickly. One second.
Just email it.
Too big.
Sending it now.
Okay, let me check.
Okay, you have it now, Alex.
Oh, okay. I'm now looking at your message. Oh, maybe take some time.
It's on your LinkedIn.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in your site. Okay. This is the file size big. It maybe takes some time to come to my message.
I can try one. Let me try once more on this other computer.
Okay, got it. Oh, there is something time. It takes some time to download it. I don't know because it takes a long time to download it. So, let me check that. Let's see. I don't know if it keep downloading. Okay, got it. Oh, you have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
Okay, so I did it on my phone in the end. Can everyone see this now? Can you see
Yeah,
this?
I can see that. So you can for example that
And you can hear me.
Just show one by one. I can see multiple slides. Yeah. Now. Okay. Yep. Oh.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it's on the phone.
Yep.
Right, we're just gonna have to wing it.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you can
It's
do
the best
that.
we can do right now with all these technical issues. Okay, so just a quick introduction about me. I've been involved in the fashion industry for 20 years, working for brands such as Reese, Burberry, Kilgore Shrimps, who have managed and ran businesses and the operational sides of the companies. I've also got my own fashion consultancy where I'm on the product side for brands such as Caravana, and have grown and launched 8 startups over the past 7 years, including Thames, Quintana, Prow, etc. So during this experience, I've witnessed how hard it is to make fashion businesses profitable, mainly due to the high levels of stock that are required to meet sales targets and the uncertainty around meeting the sales figures due to economic factors and trends. So minimums are always high for startups, and money is constantly tied up in excess stock. With lead time so long, the working capital required is very high. So last year, I found a Phygital trim with the aim to try and pioneer new ways of working so that we can help build a more sustainable and profitable fashion industry. With Phygital trim, we provide a retail platform for creators and influencers. And we work with them to create their own digital fashion collections for a profit share. We then make the digital item, which they can use in the metaverse in 3D rendering to test demand. And then once the sales have come in and they like the style, we make the garments on demand in our own micro factory. And we also take the digital products into the metaverse for more revenue opportunities. So today I'm going to talk about how can digitization improve sustainability and profitability within fashion. So as we discussed before, and lots of brilliant speakers before me have talked about how the problems within the fashion industry. So all of the problems essentially can be improved by moving to a digital model. So, overconsumption and production, like 30% of goods produced and never sold, greenhouse gases, fashion produces 10% of greenhouse emissions annually, waste, fashion accounts for 4% of the world's waste, 5% of the world's landfill, fossil fuel, 350 million barrels of oil used annually. Supply chain issues, this is big. Lead times average 5 to 6 months for luxury brands, and this is increasing at the moment due to all the issues with COVID and supply chain freight. Actually, people are being asked to book raw materials like 8 months in advance, and imagine all the cash flow tied up with that. Traceability, counterfeit industry was valued at 464 billion in 2019. Water consumption, 20 trillion gallons used annually for textile production, and economic damage, 1.5 million to 100 jobs lost in 50 communities by moving production overseas. So how digital goods and 3D rendering can improve sustainability and profitability. So according to DressX, the production of a digital design emits 97% less carbon dioxide and saves 3,300 litres of water on average. The demand for sustainable fashion is obviously there. Like over the past 3 years, there have been 25 million posts and 400 hashtags on sustainable fashion on Instagram. So one of the big uses of 3D rendering digital fashion is for social media. So 9% of fashion is bought, I think Marta touched on this really well as well. 9% of fashion is bought for social media purposes. Rendering can be used instead of seeding influencers. So I think just for example, if 2,000 gifts were sent to influencers, that could cost a brand $700,000. It's huge. So lots of brands are looking to do this. Well, Farfetch are leading it at the moment, but hopefully it will catch on because it's such a way, so many samples created just to gift. And it's also, it can be used to test designs before going into production. It's also great. So 3D Clo and Browseware, other design softwares are great for efficiency during product development. So development times can be reduced by 8 weeks. Samples can be reduced by, from like 3 to 4 to 1. 60% is saved in fitting fees, and it's 28% faster to approve these samples. So if we think about the blockchain and the benefits of digital fashion with blockchain and how it can improve fashion industry. So the blockchain technology allows transparency and traceability as all transactions are recorded permanently. The ICT sector that powers digital fashion is a source of greenhouse gas emissions, and NFTs, which are recorded mainly on Ethereum, are highly consumptive of energy. So for brands looking to take their climate footprint seriously, then perhaps moving into Web3 isn't truly viable at this stage. But I think if we're to discuss sustainability properly, we need to really ensure that the blockchain that's being used is energy efficient. You know, and Zilliqa, Flow, Near, Kudos are ones that are focusing on this at the moment. So I mean, NFTs are a great way for brands to provide utilities to their customers through digital ownership. And they can also help with retention, exclusivity, resale opportunities, and matching one-of-one. So when we come to the slides later, we're talking about Phygital, we're talking about matching an NFT, which is registered on the blockchain with a physical garment. And you know that they're both compatible with the QR code. Gaming is obviously huge for digital fashion. I mean, skins is now a crucial part of the business model for the free-to-play that dominating the gaming industry, and account for 80% of 120 billion spent on digital games in 2019. So gaming and market affiliation and brands getting into selling skins is going to be big revenue streams, extra revenue streams, and we're looking at it from an influencer perspective, where influencers can make extra revenue from partnering with gaming influencers. Then of course we have the transparent supply chain, which has been discussed before. So basically everything is going to be, you know, if we're looking at the blockchain, every single transaction from raw material right through to the production will be monitored on the registered on the blockchain, and you can have for once a transparent and visible supply chain, which is so critical because we're talking about sustainability. Often we don't know where anything comes from, to be honest, and there's no QR code like there is with food. Food has, you know what fats in it, you know what sugars are in it, you know everything about that product and how good it is for you. We don't have that yet, and hopefully through the blockchain, we'll start to see this more and more. Definitely with Phygital Twin, it's what we're doing. So another big use case, I think, for digitalization is to use it to test before you buy, you know, to try to reduce returns. So over 30% of goods purchased online are returned by consumers, many of these ending up in landfills, taking 100 years to decompose. You know, American customers returned a huge 428 billion of goods. So also virtual try-ons can increase in conversion by 97%. So just by using AR, we can actually increase conversion and reduce returns. I mean, it's really, really important. And I think the 78% of consumers expect to have AR now when they go, like in the future, when they go shopping for clothes. I think whatever we can do to try to reduce returns is absolutely massive. I mean, it just hits everyone's bottom line. And then another way, especially we want to work with Phygital Twin, is a virtual changing room in the metaverse. So you go and you personalize your avatar, face simulation, body stimulation, body scanning, and then you can go into a virtual changing room, try on a garment. You actually can see it on your virtual self, click through, and then your garment gets made after you've buyed it, after you've tried it on. So that all of this can really help decrease waste, increase conversion, and hopefully test markets before you buy anything. So now let's talk about the Phygital. So we will always need clothes, but we need to think about how digital fashion can impact physical fashion. Of course, it won't replace it. So how can we make physical fashion more sustainable? So creating a digital asset from an existing fashion collection and selling in the metaverse or gaming is not solving the issue of waste and overconsumption. At the moment, most brands are kind of entering with a truly formed brand. They've designed and developed a collection. Whether they've done it in 3D or not is questionable. They then produce the collection, thousands and thousands of units, and they then create the digital design, do a test in the metaverse to try it. I mean, it's huge marketing purposes at the moment, but it's not actually solving the problem of sustainability. We're not reducing the amount of waste that we're making. We're simply just saying, here's another revenue stream to actually test it out in and create some noise. So really what we're trying to do with Phygital Twin is flip it. So nothing is created before a digital design. Digital design comes first. The creator creates this, and then it's designed and developed. It's developed. So basically, if the digital design is kind of popular, they can test it in AR and 3D rendering if they like it. We can develop the patterns, do the product, you know, produce a collection. And then, only then, once we know that this product is popular and there's a demand for it, do we produce it. And we produce it in the micro factory network that we're currently building up. By January, we hope to have one of our own micro factories that can produce on demand, which I'll go to next. So I don't know, because I'm on my phone, if this video is going to work. Oh, I don't think it will, but there's an amazing video that we created that actually just shows the whole process through from when you buy. We bought an NFT, created it into digital colors, mapped it out, and then we created the 3D digital design in Clo, and then printed it on demand with a technology called Cornet, which prints a garment in 10 minutes. Well, actually 5 minutes. The whole garment can then be made in 10 minutes. So from uploading the garment, the pattern into the printer, we could have one garment out the other side and made laser cut, made in the micro factory within 10 minutes. So the benefits of on-demand. So obviously moving to an on-demand model is the only truly sustainable way of producing clothes. Digital printing, it saves, so the Cornet printers that we're partnering with, they produce 96% less water. They use no water, it's all pigment, 95% less energy, 83% less greenhouse gas emissions, and it can print one garment. So many of the issues with startups and smaller brands when they want to get started, if you want to go to Turkey, you want to go to Portugal, these places will ask for like 100 units minimum per style. I mean, for a brand that has to tie up all their money in inventory that hasn't even tested the market is crazy. And that's why so many startups and smaller brands fail. So the advantage obviously with on demand is that there's no cash flow issues. No money tied up in inventory, no money tied up for 6 months, 8 months while you wait for your stock to be made. You only produce once funds are received, and the less working capital is required. So it's great for startups and smaller businesses. It's also great for bigger businesses who should trial it on a small basis. And then we have the micro factory, which obviously encourages onshoring, it's agile, and it's set up for small units. And we're building this network of micro factories, as I said, at the moment. We aim to have our first one in London in January. And then this is a video that I won't be able to play, but it's just showing how the printer works on demand, the pigment printing using no water. And so why digitization is the future? These are just some like the 4 notes to really take away, which I think just fundamentally made me realize why we just really need to intrinsically change the way that we work. So digital samples replacing physical samples during design and development dramatically reduce the brand's footprint up to 30%. Then the value of the UK clothing and footwear market, returns market, is set to grow by 5.8% to 4.4 billion in 2026, up from 4.2 billion in 2021 and 3.2 billion in 2019. So it's huge. UK returns are now 55% higher than they were this time last year. So using AR and virtual try-ons is really, really critical to try to reduce this over just complete waste that ends up in landfill. Also, the fashion industry has a 3 trillion market value. If we move to a circular digital industry, it would be worth 5.3 trillion, which just goes to show how much waste is created. And then this is to do with Cornet, the digital printer specifically. By 2026, their digital printing technology will enable the production of approximately 2.5 billion apparel items in a responsible manner, saving 4.3 trillion litres of water and 17.2 billion kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions, and reducing overproduction in the fashion industry by 1.1 billion items. 100 billion items of clothing are produced annually. So it just goes to show there's just a bite size of this. If it's made on demand, will make so much difference. And then that's it. That's the end. So thank you very much, and thank you for bearing with me for these technical issues. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Louise. Yeah, fascinating. You know, we have a lot of things to discuss about your topic in the standalone webinar. I'm planning next time, but I think that the one thing that there are a lot of the initiators to using blockchain, like for example, supply chain management. Fashion supply chain is notorious. So fashion supply chain management, and also like a life cycle management for the customers, actually how they can be recycled or how we can reuse it. And then I think the blockchain is one of the important technology, but also there is in the chat, there is a Eon is mentioned about it. So there are other options. So for example, one option is in the physical space. It's a traditional technology, RFID tag. So I know that in the fashion industry already have a tagging in their fabric or their garment, and then they tracing the in the value chain. And another option is like you mentioned in the decentralized with the blockchain. And third option is a new concept is using the metaverse, means that the product digital twin. So this digital twin is just a representation of your some physical product. So it has information for example, what is the product made and what kind of a fabric or some key information can traceable. And then it'll be it is not using RFID. It is just the technology can implementing some when you generate your product, and then you make some corresponding digital twin, have information about it, and then you put in the network. And then there is a network. So it is a network of digital twin. It's a virtual space network, but because of this networking, so they can know about this product life cycle management, and then maybe the SNIB name. I think that what is your name, but you maybe explain more about some this kind of important topic. Could you please do that?
Sorry, was that a question to me?
No, because there was some comment about for example, that the blockchain also has you mentioned about sustainable. We need to use a sustainable blockchain, right? And then
yeah. So I mean, there's Tezos, there's Zilliqa. We've been speaking with them. Kudos, Near, Flow. These ones where the energy is much more energy efficient. But I mean, for us, it's kind of paramount. Obviously, it's a sustainable business to not use Ethereum in its state as it is. Obviously, it's going to be more efficient, in a few months. But yeah, at the moment, I think it's hugely energy inefficient.
Yeah. Also, that because a lot of the NFT project is based on Ethereum. And then we are waiting. Maybe there will be soon implementing the Ethereum 2.0 is more sustainable blockchain. A lot of the energy consumption is based on consensus process.
Yeah.
So Ethereum using the previous power walk has a huge consumption, but the energy because of the racing over consensus, and then they power consensus over stakeholders. And so you mentioned about the other options available using the energy efficient consensus mechanism. We can choose it. So I think that kind of issue will be much will be resolved in the future. We have more especially also like NFT has a notorious about the high gas fee. And then so
Yeah.
that's why that there are a lot of people are using, for example, Polygon, like L2 layer options, or other options like you mentioned, like Polkadot and other options. So I think that that's important the topic that we can also think about it. But anyway, because I like your like a title, because how we can make fashion industry more sustainable and profitable. That's my topic also, because you know,
Yeah.
that's a key issue even in the metaverse, because even in the like sustainability, because a lot of the greenwashing, we can think of
Very
why
much.
they happen greenwashing, right? Because of they want to be, that's a natural way the business people want to be balancing sustainability and the like profitability, and then the how you can actually keep the sustainability and like for example the profitability. The previous way is like a trade-off, right? And then the best trade-off is more profitable but less sustainable, but bubbly sustainable. That's a greenwashing. But,
Yeah.
but we need a more clever strategy in a way to like how actually can balance between the sustainability and profitability. So I think that you raise a very, very important issues, and we need to think about more about how we can do that. Right?
I think also, you know, it's the creator economy is the next wave of creators. You know, as Miki said in his presentation, these are the people that are fluid, that think differently. They're not set like brands have a certain way that they think. They can't be without stock. They have to have huge amounts of inventory, otherwise they're worried about their top line. You know, this is kind of a new area for experimentation and working in a different way. And I think this is where this creator economy is so strong, because they don't have these previous kind of expectations of inventory. They're happy to be experimental. And so it's a great opportunity to try and put in some more sustainable processes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of starting in a new era. You know, it's great. It's great with a new generation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think that because, for example, that we said like, okay, so we are going to spend in the metaverse, you know, maybe for example, the Gartner, the report about we will spend in the metaverse at least 2 hours in the year 2026, but the new generation will even not mention about the metaverse, because the metaverse is their life, because they are already in the metaverse. In the future, they will not say the like whether it's a digital fashion or this is like a game fashion or the metaverse. It will be everyday life will be the combine of the real and virtual, and the new generation will value equally. So, yeah.
It's exciting.
I hope that they will be the solution for our sustainability issue in the fashion industry.
They're the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So thank you for everyone. I think that you know, because we spent almost 3 hours for this very interesting and hot topic, and then thank you for everyone to stay here. So I will give you an option that you can stay here for maybe 10 or more minutes about have a free discussion or the Q&A, or you can leave anytime you want, right? So we already done for every speakers are done, and then actually we have enough question in through the chat. But if you still have a question or a comment, you can do that. My webinar is not a traditional like for example like a panel discussion to have a set of question and then ask the panel. We are DAO, so you have a power to join, and then you can talk. You can give your opinion inside or the like comment, or you can ask question. Do anyone volunteering to join and discussion? If you don't want, then we can stop now. Kimberly, do you want to join? Okay.
Well, I'm here, Alex, and I want to commend all the speakers. As usual, this is a really high quality group of speakers and experts and conversation. I'm in the middle of all of this, so I'm excited. I confirmed a lot of things that I know, and I feel even stronger about it. Other pieces I learned or learned a new layer. But I think it's really important that we keep having these conversations, and we are normalizing something that people think is mysterious or that it's not pertaining to them. And this moment in time pertains to all of us. And I think that's part of what you're helping seed here. So thank you all. Thank you, Alex. You know, I'm a big fan. So thank you.
You know that Kimberly, he is also like both expertise in sustainability and metaverse. Is one of my favorite speaker, and then we share a lot of the idea. Have you noticed that today's like a webinar when I start? Do you know about the like inclusive and diversity in our speakers? Have you seen that, Kimberly?
Yes, and I noticed that is increasing. I know that you're doing that on purpose, but I also see that happening more around. So it's important that we model what we say. I don't like people who don't walk their talk. So we have to walk our talk.
Yeah, I think that this is a perfect speaker panel because I tried it, but fortunately we had it today, right? Because inclusive and also like is a diversity. You see that 4 men and 4 women speakers and the different ethnically and different global, right? So I really liked and
I noticed all of that.
Yeah,
that was not wasted on me. I noticed all of that. Good for you.
Thank you. Okay, so is there anyone? VE, are you there? He is a metaverse expert, especially the Phygital. So do you have any comment about that? V, are you there?
Hi, Alex. Can you hear me? This is Tony.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from you about your insight because you're expert in metaverse, Phygital, so in every aspect of the metaverse in development.
So I appreciate you saying so because my vision is very large and it's very encompassing, and it answers the question of diversity. It answers the question of like Pi Network, which I'm part of, which is a crypto not released yet, that I got into and I've been learning about the importance of crypto and NFTs and the difference with, you know, if you can digitize it, they will come. That's the blockchain. And I see that the digital world, there is I in the digital I. And I'll put these on LinkedIn, but we see ourselves through our digital eye. It's our legacy that we're going to leave behind. It's everything we want to be. And I learned there are 28 great things that make a great city. Now, I heard this dean, former dean of ASU speak, Arizona State University. He shared 28 slides on what makes a perfect world. He talked about the mores and cooling water systems for sustainability, for instance, the fork and the knife, you know, separating food. So that's what this can bring to the new world. And I've got a lot of, I'm sorry we missed Kina today, but that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I think that everyone needs to leave because a lot of people mentioned about that they need to go out for other things or to join other meeting. So I'd like to thank you for everyone. Fascinating the talk topic and great speakers and other like participants, like great comment question. So I hope to see you again in my next webinar. And I will share this recording. And then in case that if you want to share your presentation, just send me, then I will share with the participant. Okay, so thank you again to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, bye.